Hey everyone, GameHounds podcast. We are actually more or less on time today. How are you? So Nick and I are just getting ready to do the show. I'm actually all ready to go, except for I didn't do my face today because I didn't feel like it. It's cold and it's wet and it's just uncomfortable in the Bay Area right now. We've got a blizzard going on.
Oh
Up
yeah, did you
in
see that picture I sent you about the snow on
yeah,
the
yeah.
mountains of the
Let
Bay
let
Area?
me pull that up. I mean, this is the Bay Area. We've gotten snow, but it's like, oh my god, there's snow. Um, my good friend, where is it? Yeah, my good friend is a. Hold on a second. Copy. What do I have? What I want to pull it up. Oh my god, I hate it when I try to go and do a photo in my messages. Um, forward it to copy. Maybe I can put it into this. Let me see. Uh, my next door neighbor and friend is moving to Clear Lake, and he got a notification from a friend of his. No, yes, notification from a friend that the like pictures of what's going on in Clear Lake. Now, keep in mind, Clear Lake is like what? Like elevation a 1,000 feet. It's not that high, and it's on a lake, and it was snow, like snow all over everything. And in fact, the hospital up there, everything froze. So they couldn't they couldn't return phone calls or anything. All their systems weren't working, and the generators didn't turn on because they've never had this problem before.
Huh.
So it's bad. So yeah, let me share my screen with a window. Yeah, this now Nick works in Fremont. What's the elevation in Fremont?
I have no idea.
Like 30 feet, 40 feet above sea level. It's not that high. And then there's hills behind it, which are higher, but they're not like mountains. They're just a, hill range. This is what Nick sent me a photograph. This is what it looked like out his window in Fremont.
Yeah,
Dude, you could ski that.
yeah, I parked my car, got out, and that's what I could see from where I was standing.
That's insane. That is insane how much snow that is for the Bay Area.
Uh-huh.
So yeah, we're freezing our gnocchis off at the moment. I could live without
I
it.
mean, you are if you don't have central heating.
I don't have. I do have central heating, but
It
last,
looks very weird in your house, right?
yeah, it's an old house. I have floor vents everywhere, and I have floor vents in this half of the house, and ceiling vents in the other half of the house. In the actually say my bedroom and my closet have ceiling vents. So the ceiling vents work really good.
Ooh.
But the rest of the house, it's windows on all on one side. Like there's absolutely you can't I mean behind me there's no windows. On this side of the house, it is nothing but windows. It is 3 windows up front, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 windows all the way through this house on this side. So this and it's an old Victorian. It doesn't have any uh
AC Rate says, unless you use the fireplace and send a flaming chimney down on top of a neighbor.
shh shh if it falls, I don't Chaos. I mean AC Wraith, do me a favor. I will say this, but then you need to write this date down for me because when it does fall, I don't want any evidence that the insurance company knew that it might fall. I want to be able to go, I don't know how that happened. Um yeah,
I feel like there's a lot of podcast time spent talking about this chimney, but honestly,
I'm gonna have to go through all of it and make it all disappear.
Or an insurance investigator will. And will they really watch all that podcast? No, they wouldn't. No.
I don't know. Not taking that chance. That's a mistake I will not take.
Okay,
Like
so
there's two kinds of companies you do not mess with. You don't mess with the IRS and you don't mess with insurance companies. That is words to live by.
yeah, so you should really get that door fixed, Edie, right? Like this door has
Oh,
just
this
been
door is
yeah,
yeah, I
yeah,
absolutely.
yeah.
So
You really
anyway,
should get it fixed.
my
Yeah.
house is very drafty. I don't have any insulation on my walls. I don't have much insulation in my roof because the walls are I can't put any insulation in.
Buck says deniability is out the window a long time ago. You know what? You should also get that window fixed.
um incidentally, if you show up one day and GameHounds is just gone, you will know what happened.
Mm.
It's just gonna disappear for a little while. Oh my god, my
Insurance?
accountant, the insurance company's calling. Oh crap! No, it is my accountant standby. There we go. So, yes. So it is freezing here, and it's particularly freezing in my house. And last month, it was cold in last month, like when we had all of like the really bad rains here. It was pretty chilly. You know what my gas bill just on this upstairs apartment was? My
200,
PG&E bill. Wanna
200,
take a guess?
$300.
$650.
Wow.
Yeah. But I was home. I was working from home, so I was here all the time, and my thing was right in front of my chimney that doesn't have a flue in it. Doesn't have a doesn't have a vent, doesn't have a close, so it's, like,
Mm.
constantly venting all the heat in the house, and, yeah, it was cold, and I was like, "You know what? I'm cold. I just wanna pay," and then our PG&E costs our gas costs have gone up recently a lot. So, the combination of those 3 things, $650, and that was just upstairs. Downstairs apartment, which has nobody in it and is not there's no gas running except for the, water heater, was $75.
That's not bad.
Yeah. So let's see. He said it would be best if we could talk right now since I'm working. It's only about 30-second conversation. Okay. You know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna let you go. If my accountant says he needs to speak to me right now, I need to speak to him. So let me go and I will be back and then we'll start the show. Sorry about this, guys. Just the way things work and when you're adulting. So Nick, go ahead.
Okay. How's the weather like for everyone else today? I think we will have a very good show today. I've got some really fun stuff to talk about. I'm looking forward to showing off a couple props. Um, but yeah, it's been chilly here, but like not too bad overall. We close the windows, turn on the heat, and thankfully it doesn't cost us $600 because uh, we're able to stay insulated and not have all the heat vent through a perfectly stable chimney. But it says it's okay, which hey, that's better than bad. Cool. Chunderbox says cool change here. Welcome from the hot days we have been having. Oh, where are you that it's been warm? Looks like I changed my camera position. Yeah, I don't know exactly how it's changed, but I'm definitely noticing I'm looking like way off more to the side. If I scoot that over, no, I don't want to. I want to scoot it that way, maybe. Slightly better. I don't know. I can't tell. Um, But yeah, it does look a little different. Like it's slightly off, and it's weirding me out whenever I see the video. Oh, Chunderbox, you're in Australia. That's right. Yeah, I'm looking forward to it getting a little bit hotter here. Oh yeah, AC Wraith says still set up for Meaty's visit. That could be true. Because yeah, I don't think we've actually done a podcast since then. Well, I'm glad, Chunder, you're getting some relief from the heat of Australia. From everything I know, that can get very, very hot. So yeah, I guess as it gets hotter over here, it should be getting colder over there. So uh, yeah, we'll just switch places. You'll be having blizzards and snow, and we'll be having heat waves and fires. Because that's all weather is. It's just one disaster after another. Oh, 42 degrees Celsius heat wave. Southern something braces for final blast of summer. Eesh. That's nuts. What is that? I know that's like over 100 in Fahrenheit, right? Celsius to Fahrenheit. Yeah, 107. Holy cow. Ah, Queensland. But it says it's 50 Fahrenheit here in Cook Country. Yep. It's been a weird month of weather, at least in California. Like we've actually had rain. It's been chilly and rainy. Uh I can't remember the last time we had this much rain. There's actually a rainy season. I know years ago when I was growing up, the common joke was that California only had two seasons, the rainy season and the dry season. And then it just kind of switched at some point where we stopped getting rain. So it was just always dry. Maybe it was hot, maybe it was a little chilly, but generally just a dry season throughout the year. And this year it's actually raining again, which is kind of nice.
So I'm back. Sorry about that. I got one of those good news bad news conversations from the accountant. Actually, it was bad news good news rather than good news bad news.
This-
Long story short is something I have not done my 2021 taxes because I was expecting a huge refund. So I just turned them into the accountant and he just did them. And he's like, hey, remember this thing that we thought that wasn't going to get taxed? Turns out it is going to get taxed and it's an extra $20,000. And it's like, oh, fuck. And he's like, that's the bad news. The good news is you had such a big refund coming to you. You still don't owe, but your refund went from $4,000 to 600. So I'm like, this is why you don't mess with the IRS. This is why I withhold more money than I should for just these kinds of moments of like, oh crap. So yeah, that's what it is. Wasn't this would have been a very different phone call if I'd owed money.
yeah.
This has been a very different phone call. This
You're
would have
very,
been,
very
we're going to
close.
stop the show and I need to go recover from that news.
AC Wraith says we used to have frogs, grasshoppers, and worms season when I was growing up. Tons of them would be roadkill. Now I guess they aren't born,
Ew.
which is interesting that the weather is just kind of changing their mating habits so that now you just don't have bug season.
Chatterbox, that's right. You do live in Australia, don't you? I wanted
Mhm.
to ask you something specific last week, and yeah, that's right. We talked about that 2 weeks ago about how everything's trying to murder you in Australia, and I forgot there was some other question I wanted to ask you. I can't remember what it was. I'll have to think of it again. Genderbox, are you in our Discord? Because I will put it there. If you're not in the Discord, go get on the Discord because that question is going to come back up in my head sometime, and I'm going to want to ask. All right, so let's actually. Okay, good. I'm glad. Yeah, Chenderbox says yeah, he's in the Discord. By the way, if you are not joined on the Discord, please join our Discord server. There is our Discord invite number. Just plug that all in, and you can be there with us, talking to each other, and also random questions I get at 3:00 in the morning for someone. I will post it there because I do get those questions, especially if you're in a foreign country. Because damn it, I got lots of questions that come to me at 2:00 in the morning, going, "What direction does the toilet water swirl in Australia? Because it's supposed to swirl backwards compared to North America, but I don't know if that's a myth or not. And I would
I
rather
think
ask somebody."
I think that's a myth. I think Simpsons has misinformed an entire multi-generation of
Oh,
Americans.
that's not a Simpsons thing. That predates that predates the
Sure,
Simpsons by
sure.
a lot of years. I
But I
mean, I
know it.
remember hearing that when I was in grade school.
But I know it from The Simpsons.
Yeah, sure. All right. So, should we start the show?
Yeah.
All right. A lot to talk about. And my lunch with my
Yes.
friend was very good. I have not seen this. We went to high school together and to college together. He was the one that got me the job at my first time working at a newspaper and essentially changed the trajectory of my life.
Cool.
And so we were coworkers for 7 or 8 years after that. So pretty much we had high school, college, and then work together. And he's now in Atlanta, Georgia. He moved away. His wife got a job there, and then she dumped him, and then he's still there. Now he's a teacher there. But he came back, and he was only here for the weekend. And so I haven't seen him in probably 10 years or so. So I needed to see him. All right, so let's do the show.
Okay.
This podcast discusses video games, modern culture, and technology, and these podcasters are big fat potty mouths. If you're younger than 18 or are easily offended, please stop this podcast now. Oh, and your mom says to take out the trash and do your homework.
Hello and welcome to GameHounds. GameHounds episode. What episode is it? It's 670. Yeah, 670. We're recording this on Sunday, February 26, 2023. I'm Edie Sellers. We got Nick in the house.
Hey.
We got everybody in the chat room already. We've already been talking. I've already had phone calls that I had to take and stuff. So it's all, it's just another Sunday. We're sorry that you weren't with us we weren't with you last week. I had a lovely time with a friend of mine I hadn't seen in a long time. And it was just he was here one weekend. That was the only day we could see him. He was actually here for his mom's funeral. So he flew in Thursday. Friday was, his mom, Catholic. And I don't know if this is just a Catholic thing or if it's other people too, but it was like a whole weekend of, well, first there was the viewing, there was a sitting, then there was the viewing, and then the next morning was the funeral in the church. So it was like 3 different events that he had to keep coming back for. And it was just, it's like, it must be just exhausting. So yeah, he only had that one day. AC Ray said it's a full 10 episodes since the audio only listeners have heard anything. I know.
Thank you, AC Ray.
I know. All right. I'll do it. I'll do it today after we do the show. I will do all of them. And you know what else I'm going to do?
Like we said before, just label them raw and you can upload anything.
It's true, but I have standards. What I'm going to also do is I'm going to actually add an extra 3 seconds into the GameHounds intro tape, like the sound file, so that we don't have this problem.
Oh.
It's an easy fix. I just don't do it. So, yeah. What have you been playing? I know what I've been playing.
Yeah. Okay.
I sat down because my knee was hurting me and I needed to walk the dogs. And it was like, all right, I just need to let my knee rest a little because it was hurting particularly bad yesterday morning. I sat down at 10 o'clock in the morning. I did end up taking the dogs out for about a half an hour into the park. And then I sat back down and played until 2 o'clock in the morning. So from 10 a.m. to 2 a.m., I played one game. And it's a surprising one. I played Battlefield 2042
Oh,
for what? That's what, 12 hours? No, yes, 12 hours and then 10, 11, 12, 1, 2. That's 14 hours straight. I played Battlefield 2042. I have
those are
never,
streamer hours.
yeah, I have never played any Battlefield ever that much. And I think I feel bad for DICE because they released a broken game that was not good and changed way too much way too soon. And then they fixed it by going back to what it should have been in the first place. And now it's a really fun game. If they'd have just released the game the way it is right now, when they released Battlefield 2042 originally, everybody would have loved it. And here's the difference. Like I played nights with Battlefield 2042 and occasionally, previous Battlefield games, and occasionally played it myself. But it's like I'm not really. I suck. I know I suck. I just have to get. I I have become okay with me sucking at multiplayer shooters. Especially Battlefield. The fact that they added the AI, the single player co-op AI aspect of it is a game changer for me. Absolute game changer. Because number one, you can play that. Essentially, it is conquest and breakthrough. You can play conquest or breakthrough against AI and with AI on your team. You're the only player, or whoever's in your team are the only players in that. And it's still really freaking challenging. The AI is really, really good. But the nice thing is it gives you this freedom to try out different types of roles, different types of specialists. I have never, maybe once or twice tried to play as a sniper, and in previous Battlefields, never done well, never do good on that. And it's demoralizing. I come out at the bottom with nothing, like 3 kills and 40 deaths. And so I never really end up developing my recon, my sniper characters. But this game, you can go in there, and if you do terrible, that's okay. Just go back in again until you do unlock all of the good rifles and all of the good gadgets. And then I do want to go and play as a sniper in a regular Battlefield game, all those things are going to be unlocked for me, and I will have had the practice of actually sniping. That being said, I have watched as a sniper. I have watched the way that those AI behave. And while they don't behave just like players, the AI is pretty good. It is very hard to predict what they will do and when they will do it. And especially with breakthrough, those teams of AI act like people regularly do in Battlefield.
I feel
in that
like
they swarm one side and then they swarm the other and then they swarm one side. So they just keep going back in swarms, which is what people will do.
I feel like the AI works really well on a macro scale.
Mm-hmm.
Like you said, in terms of their strategy at controlling points, whether it's in conquest or breakthrough, they know, oh, if we're losing this point, let's go swarm this other point. If we're losing that one, let's go swarm the other one. On an individual level, what you really notice is that they stop. They don't move as much.
Yeah.
And so that just makes shooting them easier, right? They're not as good shots as people, so that when you and another guy turn a corner and see each other, he might shoot first, but he'll miss or hit you once or twice,
Mm-hmm.
and you can take him down.
Right.
Whereas with most other players, if you turn the corner and see that, you're not gonna win that fight.
Mm-hmm.
Oh man,
But
AC Wraith reminded me of a Ewok hunt in Battlefront 2. That was such a good mode.
oh yeah, I forgot about that.
That was so good.
Yeah, that's a perfect example. It is Battlefield 2042 is suffering from the same thing that that Cyberpunk 2077 is, and what No Man's Sky did, and this still does, is that they released poorly. They went back and fixed it, but they missed that opportunity of the release and it being a really good game and having great reviews. The thing that people remember are all the bad reviews.
True, although I feel like the narrative on No Man's Sky has absolutely turned, in that now people don't remember it for its launch. Its launch is more of a
Right.
footnote of its story than anything else. The narrative is changing on Cyberpunk. I feel like more people are saying, "Oh, hey, this is a good game when you pick it up."
Right.
The issue with Battlefield is that because it's a franchise owned by EA that's on a pretty strict, like 2 to 3 year cycle,
Mm-hmm.
means that it won't really get the time for the narrative
Right.
can change on it, but by the
Exactly.
time the narrative changes and people are like, "Hey, this is a good game," there's
They're
going
on
to
to
be
the next
another one.
Battlefield.
Yeah, the
Exactly.
support would
That's
drop.
exactly what I was thinking.
Yeah, and so it's tough when a game that has constant iterations like Battlefield releases a bad product, because I feel like the devs at a certain point are like, why are we even bothering to fix this? In 2 years, we're going to release another game, and that one will be buggy as hell too, because EA will force us to put it out to meet shareholder expectations, and people will be upset about that. Why can't we just dump this game and start working on that game right now?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And the fact that I can go in and have the freedom to play around with things I wouldn't typically play around with, like, for example, helicopters or tanks. Oh my God. I've had most of the things most of the reason why I spent so much time yesterday playing was because I was trying out new things and leveling them up so that I could actually, see what it's like to actually be a sniper that has the best gun. See what it's like to have a tank that has all of the best options on it. Have the opportunity to figure out how to shoot a particular gun on a tank the right way. It took me a good hour, because it doesn't tell you how to do it. If you go to smart weapons, it doesn't tell you how to use a smart weapon. And it took me a good long time to figure out that I was using them wrong. And then once I started using them right, I'm like, oh, this is how you do it. None of that was ever possible in previous iterations of Battlefield, and in this one it does. This is now officially my favorite console game at the moment. Simply because I know I can drop in. It's not going to be like you suck moment. And if I suck, nobody cares. It happens in the dark. Nobody sees it. I have a chance because the AI, you're right, is not as good as people. It's still challenging, but it's not as good as people.
Yeah, I think
it's just challenging enough.
The balance is good because, like I said, on an individual level, they're dumb enough that you can kill them, but on a macro level, it's still tough to win the game.
But keep in mind, you and I have only played this on easy.
No, we haven't.
Did we play hard? We've only played beginner easy on the AI.
Nope.
Are you sure?
Every single time I was in charge, I put it on advanced.
No wonder we were doing so shitty.
No, we won every one of those games.
That's true. but they were challenging. They were hard. They were fun. I
Yeah.
have it on easy as a single person, and it's really there. There was one map that it was like, I can't get through this, and finally at the end of the night, I was able to win the match with that, but it took a lot of work. So yeah, I absolutely love this game now that it has that option to it, and that they have put back actual specialist roles instead of it, just being
Yeah, the
whatever.
classes.
The classes were important. I don't know who thought that was a good idea. Don't know. Either that or it was a good idea, but no, everybody hated it so much they weren't willing to give it a shot.
I mean, they were chasing the hero shooter genre, right? The Apex Legends, the Overwatches.
Yeah.
They're chasing that.
Yeah, speaking of which, we'll talk about that later. Yeah, I recommend it. I absolutely recommend this game. And if anybody wants to play co-op with me, I am more than happy to play co-op on this game. It is a lot of freaking fun. And thank you to Chris Salazar, our friend, who made us start playing it, because I would have never picked it up on, and it's on Battle Pass. Never would have picked it up.
Yes, having it be on Game Pass is probably one of the other
Sorry, Game
nice
Pass.
things about it.
Speaking of Battle Pass, I bought the Battle Pass.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I liked it that much.
Wow.
It's only $10, $8.99 actually. It's fine. I wanted to, in the same way that when Pentiment came out and I went and bought the game after playing it because I thought it was such a good game. Same thing. I want them to know that I really like this game, because my fear is, because Battlefield 2042 was such a flop on release, that the next Battlefield won't have that co-op single player option.
Mm.
As opposed to like the campaign. I mean, a single player just playing against AI.
Yeah.
I'm afraid that won't be there, because that would be a loss for me.
I mean,
this turned this game into my favorite game of the year so far. I mean, I know it's in January, but I'm going to be playing this game all the way until the next Battlefield comes out.
On the plus side, even if the next game doesn't have that mode, this game still will.
Mm-hmm.
So
yes.
you could in theory play this game for as long as the servers are up.
Yeah,
which
but
is a
it's never
very long time.
It is only 2 modes, and yeah, there's a lot of maps within each of those modes, but it is only 2 modes. Eventually, I will tire of that.
Sure, but you can say that about every multiplayer game.
Yeah, true. But yeah, I know if EA is listening, please leave that in for the next forever for Battlefield, because that turned this game into something that I really enjoy playing, for myself, as opposed to I only want to play when Nick is around, or when Chris is around, or when my people are there, because I'm just going to fail. And I just play support because I can't shoot well enough. I started playing support with this. I haven't played support at all. I have maxed out my engineer. I have maxed out my assault. I have not maxed out my recon. I just started on the recon, but I'm playing all the other characters other than support, because my entire life have only played support, because it's the only thing that I can even remotely get some points for and get some progression.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So if you like shooters and you hate Battlefield, 2042 is your game. Period. The end. I can't recommend it enough.
Nice.
This is how we do it. Did somebody mention that?
I think just in general, this is how we do it.
Yeah.
This is how you win.
This is how we do it. Yeah. So, and if you have Game Pass, it's a no-brainer. Just download it and play with me.
Yeah.
I'm going to be on it just about every night for at least a good period of my time, until something else comes out that I like, a new Mass Effect or Dragon Age or something else. And my only other game was actually a demo on um uh, Game Pass
A
demo.
demo?
Yeah. Yeah, it's actually only a demo, but it seems very detailed and involved. It is, and it's kind of goes back to me playing Pentiment, the whole like illuminated books thing.
Hmm.
It is a game called Ink Luminati.
I had seen this on Game Pass, and yeah, Pentiment made me look at it, but
Hmm.
it looked like such a very different game that I
It
just kind of passed on it.
Yes, it is absolute. Oh,
Like,
Ink. No, I spelled it wrong. Stand by. It is not Ink Luminati. It is Ink Inkulinati. In INKU
Inkulinati?
Anati. Yep.
I feel like it's a bad name.
Yeah. And yeah, it's a bad name. It is essentially a strategy game. Um and it's, I guess the way to describe it would be, it's like a card game without the card, where you are an ink lunati, and your you can um draw soldiers in your army,
I saw it.
and it's
I read.
turn based.
Yeah, it's like a
So
turn-based tactics game, but
turn based
2D,
tactics, right?
right? And it's all on like one horizontal plane.
It's on one horizontal plane, and you have to have a certain amount of living ink, which you get more living ink in each round, in each turn, in order to make more soldiers.
Okay, that's kind of like the mana system in any card-based game.
Right. And the expectation, well, the goal is that it's your ink Illuminati, you and your ink Illuminati against another ink Illuminati who's also drawing creatures. And as you go through the game, um you are gaining more. Oh gosh, this is a terrible video. As you are going through, you are gaining more types of soldiers, or types of pieces that you put on the board, that have different abilities and different strategies, and different, some of them are healers, some of them actually provide you more living ink, some of them boost other players. They have different ranges of spaces, like some is only the adjacent square, some of them is a square that's up to 6 squares away. So it all works out. uh um
So they're kind of like chess pieces where each character has their own move set.
Yes, each character has its own moveset.
Okay.
Some of them can move farther than others. Um, some of them can attack farther than others. Um, some of them have, oh my God, come on. Why does everybody only have the intro? Some of them
You can
can,
skip ahead.
this is actually one of the very last ones. Uh, some of them can, like the archers, can shoot distances.
Okay.
The swordman can only do adjacent squares. The spearman can do 2 squares away that they can actually attack, but there's also movement, literal other movement. After each turn, each character can move once and then take an action, whether it be to attack something. You can push. Yeah, I found that one out in this particular thing. You can push another character off and kill them instantly off of any of the, and I didn't realize that until I moved my ink Illuminati over to the side, over to like where the barrel is to the left of this woman, and the other ink Illuminati just pushed me off the edge and won. It's like, oh, I didn't know you could do that. Like, say, for example, moved him back. It is like chess, but you can constantly add new pieces. and it's a hell of a lot. It's actually a lot of fun, but at the same time, it's very slow paced.
I feel like most turn-based games are like that.
Mm-hmm. Case in point, just pushed him off the edge. And that's why he moved those. That's why he moved that other guy in between him so that he could push him off the edge. Because you push somebody one space, unless there's somebody on that space, and you essentially just push them until they reach the last occupied space. Yeah, I blew up that barrel and he just pushed me right off.
I like the character designs. This is like a little compy with legs and a arm sticking out of its face.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that's the different. And you can play that army as well if you choose that army instead of dogs or whatever. You can choose your own army. Also, I don't know if you could see it. Maybe when it goes back out. Let me see if I can go back out. But if you look here, you will see all of this around the edge up in here.
All the text.
All the text. The text is your fight.
Oh, it's like
the text keeps getting written for each move, and every turn it goes back and it writes, and it's writing it like Eric weakly cuffed the fool, and then he felt daft, really daft. Gus, who was thought to be as thick as a brick, strolled on assuredly, because each of these characters you can see have names. Like what was it? One of them. Let me go back a little bit. That's Sir Growly. Is the name of that particular character.
That's pretty cool.
So essentially it becomes a story that you can read after while you're in the middle of it. It's kind of fun. It makes you feel like you're writing the book as you're playing the game.
Is it multiplayer matches, or is it like against the AI?
I don't know. I think it is just AI.
Okay.
But I could see this being, is it? Let me look that up. What was it? Ink.
And AC Wraith says that apparently the game is an early access. That's why it's a demo.
Right. So Ink Luna, is it multiplayer? Single player campaign, hot seat mode, local multiplayer, and single player challenges. So it's going to be local multiplayer.
Okay.
Which I could see.
Yeah, PvP on the same screen, local multiplayer.
Yeah. Because you're all, and unlike, it's not going to be split screen because essentially it's a chess game. But it's really, really interesting. It's completely opposite from Battlefield. Really interesting. The games can be short or long. And essentially you continue down in the campaign. You continue down the campaign. Every time you lose if you have something called a quill, essentially your pen to draw. If you have an extra quill, you can rematch or flee and go to a store and buy some new characters or something. If you run out of quills, then your campaign ends and you start all over again, which kind of sucks.
Oh, so it's almost like a roguelike in that way.
Yeah. Yeah. At least that's what the beta is playing it like. So yeah, and I think you can actually buy more quills if you need to. But with each win you get gold and reputation. So, and then usually some other thing, like either another character or a quill or something like that. So yeah,
in this video, the whole map is burning, and I can't tell.
That is an environmental thing that the game, in order to spice it up, the game will have environmental apocalypses. And in this case, the apocalypse is living fire, so that every space that has fire on it, if they're left on that space, they will take additional fire damage. Oh, he won! Nice.
Okay, maybe I'll give that a shot.
Yeah. And you can see that there is a map, that each of those maps is either an inn where you can usually buy something to raise your health, because whatever health you end up with,
Oh,
you gain
okay.
a little bit back, but then the next one, if you aren't full health, you might start the game
So it
not
has
less than full health.
the typical roguelike map of, hey, you can hit the path splits. Here's a fight, here's an here's an event, and then you do one of those, and you go on. Gotcha.
Yeah, like you
So
can get new
it's
hand actions, which is an additional action that your Inclinati can use. It might be adding bleeding effects, or every character on your board at the end of each turn gains 3 health.
is that guy like a plant or a goblin monster?
He's your master. I think he's supposed to be a Yoda without being a
Oh,
Yoda. He is the
okay.
master who's teaching you how to play, and you have to pass him in order to get to the next level.
AC Wraith asks, when you start a new game, is it different each time, or is it just the same?
Each level is the same,
Oh,
but
really?
I should say each time you start that same level, that same chapter, it is the same. The characters might be moved around and distributed differently, but it's
But
the
the
same
levels are the
board.
same.
And it starts out usually flat at the beginning, and the board becomes more complex the more chapters you get into.
Oh, he also meant the map.
Yeah, the map. The map I think stays the same. You still have to go through the same fights. Yeah, and there's also the combination of two different kinds of fights you can get into. You can get into an Inclinati fight, which is against another Inclinati. You can also get into beast fights, where what we're seeing on the screen right now is just a beast fight. You're an Inclinati there, and you could die, but your beast fight is... Sorry, you're not there. No Incluminatis are there. It's just your beasts against some other beasts. So there's no going after an Incluminati. The whole point is to just beat the other beasts to clear the board. Yeah, it was a good move. He just infected everybody on the other side with that one move.
Okay, maybe I'll give this a shot. There's a lot about this seems interesting, but then a lot about it seems very not up my alley.
Yeah, it's a steep learning curve. Definitely a steep learning curve. But yeah, you don't spend your attention really on something, but it's, for me at least, it was just challenging enough to be really, really fun. And but it takes a lot of brain power. Uh-oh. Looks like Amazon's coming to my door.
Okay.
So yeah,
Well,
I would recommend, if you, and it's also on Game Pass. It is, like I said, in a demo. So obviously
early
there's no
access.
early access for all intents. They're calling it a demo on Game Pass, but it's early access on Steam. Yeah, I think that if you like strategy games, if you like chess games, you like this. It's not bad. And it's the different character types, different piece types that you have, members of your army, soldiers. They're complex and interesting enough that if you learned how to play this really, really well, it's a bit like Gwent. If you learn how to play it really, really well, it's a hell of a lot of fun, but it takes a little time to learn how to play it really, really well. So yeah, those are my 2 games.
Okay. I played quite a bit of things. But I will start with what is by far the most interesting thing. I bought a new gadget recently.
Oh no. What did you buy?
I bought...
Please tell
a
me
new
it's a
phone.
microphone. Oh.
And I
or a
bought
better-
the PSVR 2.
Oh no! Wow, you bought a phone and a PSVR 2?
Yes. So that's because with the phone,
Because what were
February...
you at? Were you still at a 6S?
Yes.
Oh God, Yeah. 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 Yeah.
So February is the month that I get my bonus at work. And so I was
Mhm.
like, you know what? I'm going to use this to get a PSVR. And then I remembered a friend had mentioned, oh, like you could get an iPhone X for $200. And in my mind, the iPhone X is like one of the newest models.
No.
No, it's
Even
like,
I have a newer phone than that.
and so when I was looking, I was like, oh, I could get an iPhone 10 for literally $200 at like 250 gigs.
Mhm.
So it's like, if I'm if I'm going to spend the money on a PSVR 2, I cannot in good conscience not upgrade the phone.
Right.
So I did both.
Wow. So have you played, and what have you played?
Yes, I've played a little bit so far. I've been kind of easing into it for various reasons. My eyes have been like really itchy lately, not because of it, but because I think of allergies. But I imagine having two really bright LED screens right in front of my face wouldn't help. So
Mhm.
I've been kind of limiting my time with it in the beginning. Um, and plus, we have it's been 2 weeks since we did the podcast. We have a lot of things to talk about. I wanted to like save the really big, heavy hitter VR games for next week.
Okay.
So I've played a lot of demos.
Okay.
I mean, first of all, I can just show you the headset. It's pretty neat. It's got a little button on the back that you use to.
God, I wish you had a better lighting so that I could actually see it better.
Yeah,
You've-
it's there's.
Yeah.
It's so gray out that there's no sunlight.
Yeah. Oh, and also you don't have light in front of
Yeah.
on your face. So
But yeah, there's a switch in the back that you use, and that makes the back open up to put it over
Mhm.
your head. Then there's a button on the top of the VR device. You can't see it, but it's where my index
I'm gonna
finger
put you
is.
on solo so I can see all of this. All right, go ahead. Yeah.
Okay. There's a button right here, and that allows you to move the eyepiece itself in and out. And so between the two of those movements, you're able to like really get it fit pretty snug on your face. And what's also a neat thing is on this side here, you can't
Mhm.
see it, but there's a little dial. And that dial actually takes the VR lenses and moves them away or in.
Okay.
And what that means is like there's a lot of customizability for faces,
Right.
right? And so you're able to really get it to match your face really well. Um, if your eyes are far apart, you can
Right.
do that. It's far enough that I guess if you have glasses too,
Yeah, that was my other
it works really
question
well.
for you because I know you and I have talked about this. Is that I'm considering of getting LASIK.
Hmm.
And when you do LASIK, they told me you will be able to see great from about your dashboard of your car, distance. But for the rest of your life, anything closer than that, like if you look at your phone, you will need glasses. You will need to see. The other option is that you can set one eye close and one eye distant. And I don't want to do that because I know me and I'm heavily right eyed. And so I would want to have my right eye distance, my left eye close, and I like do cameras and I shoot my gun through my right eye. Like
Yeah,
that
you
would
wink and you.
right. I would have to learn how to shoot left. I don't want to learn how to shoot left. So I would have to have my right eye close, which means I know, and I'm heavily right eyed. So I'm gonna do it both. If I do it, I'm gonna do it both distance, which means that if I had a PSVR, I would have to have glasses on.
Yeah, which I think would work. Everything I've
Does it have an
heard,
insert for a diopter? Maybe
I don't know what that is.
a diopter is a little a plastic thing that you could stick into something that is set to your glasses
I
prescription.
mean, there's like the mushiness, the like little foam part here.
Mhm.
It's wide enough and spacious enough that you could fit glasses in it.
Okay. Yeah. If I don't, I kind of would not like to use glasses in there because I think they would fog up. But if
Maybe?
it can take a diopter, that's even better. Like the
I
headsets for drone racing, the
Mhm.
headsets actually have inserts for diopters so that you don't have to wear. I mean,
Okay.
you can't wear glasses with a a headset for drones, I should say.
I
So
can only speak to what I've seen in other like video reviews, but
yeah,
they say that if you have glasses, it can fit. And I
Edie,
don't know what he's talking
What more
about.
do you need than to hear you have an excuse to hit Nick in the back of the head? The button, you mean? Yeah, good point. lot of spouses are going to be slapping their gamer spouse in the back of the head. He, Jennerbrock says yes, you can get lensers that fit into the PSVR 2. Okay,
Cool.
good. That's a selling point for me. Because the whole point of my getting LASIK, I don't want to wear glasses anymore.
Mhm. But other than that, other than the hardware being cool, I played a couple demos and a couple like rhythm games.
Mm-hmm.
So the demo I tried is Puzzling Places, which is basically a jigsaw puzzle. But what's neat is you take a 3D model of something and then you break it apart into 3D pieces. And so you'll have like one little spire of a tower, like
Mm-hmm.
one wall and then part of the top. And, you put it together like a jigsaw. But what's neat is all the pieces are on the wall in front of you. And if you aim it with the controller, you can magnetize a piece, to your hand. And then when you let go, it just kind of floats there. And so what I got into the habit of doing was, okay, I'm putting together this like Asian storefront. The awning is bright yellow. The pavement is all like a similar gray. So I'm going to take all the yellow pieces and like stick them over here above my head. I'm going to take all the pavement pieces, stick them over on my right, and I'm going to kind of work on them over here. I'm going to work on these pieces over here. And then when I get those together, I'm going to take some other pieces. And it's just interesting to think about space differently, right? When you're putting together jigsaw in 2Ds, you take a bunch of pieces and you create piles. There's like, oh, all the similar colors over here, all the other
Mm-hmm.
ones over here. And in this one, you're just doing it in the space around you. Oh, I'm going to have a bunch of pieces hovering in the air above me. I'm going to have them hovering to the left and put them together. And it's just it's a good like first VR game just to kind of get a sense of the space, get a sense of looking around, get a sense of what it feels like to have this thing around you in 360 degrees. And like you can do it sitting or standing, right? You don't have to move around a lot. So yeah, I thought this was a really cool demo. Then I played a demo called Song in the Smoke,
Mm-hmm.
which I wasn't sure what it was at first, but it was one of the few free demos available, so I just figured I'd try it out. And I quickly realized it's a survival game. One of those, hey, go collect, go hit a rock 10 times to get rock pieces, and then put those rock pieces together to form a hammer, and then use the hammer to cut down trees, and that type of thing.
Mm-hmm.
The interactions, the motion interactions were actually really, really clever. You would have to like take a rock in one hand and a piece of wood in the other and hit the wood with the rock in order to make like a spike. And then you could take like a piece of wood and an arrowhead and put them together to make a spear. Or in another one, you had like a mortar and pestle, and you had herbs, and you'd have to put them in there, like physically kind of move your hand, and then take the mortar and like mash it. And so you're moving your hands like this, and to create these different things. And it's a lot of really clever interactions. But ultimately, it's in service of a genre that I didn't want to play. So after like 20 minutes of walking through this valley, just kind of like, hey, use X with Y, now use A with B. It's like, oh, okay, I can sleep, I can use these things together. Not my type of game. So a neat, clever interactions, but absolutely not my type of game.
Yeah.
Then I played Thumper. Thumper is a game that I had owned previously. I think it's like a $5 upgrade to the PSVR capabilities. And Thumper, I think, is so far one of the coolest representatives of what it's like playing something in VR versus on the TV, because this is like a 3-4 year old game.
Mm-hmm.
I played it when it first came out, and I thought it's a neat rhythm horror game. It's like this: you play as this little beetle running along this track, has these like cosmic skulls kind of vomit obstacles in your path. And if you hit the notes right, if you're on this like note highway and you hit it right, you kind of shoot a beam up into this giant floating skull to hurt it. So you're like this weird little metallic beetle fighting giant cosmic skulls on this abstract note highway. It's all very trippy, but it's cool. And the music is like really a heavy focus on bass and drums. And when I played it initially, I thought, hey, this is a neat game. But it didn't really click for me. In VR, though, Chunderbox asked if it's my first experience in VR. I'd played a couple demos of VR stuff at PAXs in the past, but like nothing substantial.
Right. Nothing like where you spent whatever time you wanted to. It was only limited. Like, here,
Yeah.
this is what it's like. Now get out.
It was a demo. It was enough to make me go, I think this is really cool. I would like to own a headset, but not enough to like spend enough to get like a Vive. But so in VR, what was really cool about Thumper is that you really get the sense of the immersion adds a very hard to describe level of intensity to the whole thing,
Mm-hmm.
where all of the sensory effects just kind of hit harder. When something flashes on the screen, it feels flashier. When something like thumps, it feels harder. When you hit a turn and like you slam into these turns and like you feel that violence, and it just overall feels like a harder, more violent rhythm game overall, which works really, really well because at a certain point, when you're going through these notes, it's like, okay, I'm hitting these things, boom, 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 turn, note, turn, like up, down, left, right. Uh, it's like Luke Skywalker during the trench run. It's like, don't stop seeing the highway and just
Mhm.
feel it, you know?
Mhm.
Close your eyes and just become one with the beetle. And like it feels like that where when you get these notes right, the headset kind of vibrates and everything's calm.
Oh,
Yeah, there's actually
There's-
haptics in the headset.
oh.
And so what's neat is like the music and everything, it's like these heavy drums, like it's all very like clangy and discordant noise. And so when you hit all the things right and everything gets quiet and the headset just goes, you're like, I fucking did it. Yes. And you get that little moment of calm before you get right back into the slamming rhythm. And it got to a point, there's like 10 levels and I got up to level 4. There's like 20 stages in each level though. So
Uh-huh.
but at a certain point, I was just like, I want more. I want more. Every time I got to that low point, I'm like, bring it on the next one. Bring on the next one. I want more of this. It's just intense. I found that on some levels, my hand would shake in the same way that it does when I'm playing a really intense Dark Souls boss fight. It was like,
Uh-huh.
oh shit, here it comes. Come on, let's do this. Like I said, I had played this before and it didn't hit me the same, but just the being in VR and being surrounded by everything
Mhm.
made it all hit different in a level of intensity that just wasn't there before, and that I
Yeah.
think is really, really exciting. I stopped playing when I was like, okay, I can feel myself heating up, right? I'm starting to sweat a little bit just from the intensity of it. I'm going to put it down. I'd been playing for like 30 minutes.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Wow. Genderbox says you're in for a great ride. I think I love my VR. Haven't purchased the new one yet. Waiting for a sale.
Cool.
See, now I'm thinking. Now I'm thinking.
So
Maybe.
see,
Maybe.
hey, you can come over and try it anytime.
I don't want to try it. I mean, if I already know that I'm probably gonna like it. The question is it? Do I really want to spend that money?
Yeah. Like,
Also, it's a question of do I really want to change the way that I play games?
yes.
I already have a hard time making a decision whether I want to play my Xbox or my PlayStation 5. This adds a whole nother like, do you want to play? Or yeah, then I added, do you want to play a console or do I want to play the PC game? And then now it's like, do I want to play VR or a non-VR game?
Yeah, I think the best way to think about it is has another platform, right? It's a whole new platform, kind of separate from PlayStation and Xbox and console games versus PC games. It's its own thing.
Mm-hmm.
Being tied to the PlayStation is just a way to kind of make it cheaper than other VR headsets because it's using the PS5 to do all the
Right.
processing.
Right.
But yeah, what the few things that I've spent with it, the few nights I've spent with it, it's interesting to think about because yeah, it's more expensive than a PS5, but I think there is no conceivable world where I will play it more than the PS5. Right?
Interesting.
Like, and that's part of just what the VR experience is that it's, like I said, it's a much more intense experience. I played Thumper for a half hour and got really like heavy into it. But like that was 30 minutes with Thumper, and I was like, okay, I'm ready to. I feel like I've done with this game for this evening. And like I think that's a good way to think about VR in general is that it's just more intense, shorter periods of gaming. You're not going to sit down and play something in VR for 8 hours. Like you just never would. That's not kind of how the platform works. And
Mhm.
so if you're expecting to spend all that money to play something as much as you would the base console, like that's just the wrong way to think about it. You'll be disappointed because even I envision myself using it a lot. But like I said, I am absolutely not going to play it. Already this week, I've played the base PS5 more than I have on the PSVR headset.
Really?
Because I've
See-
been playing a game on PS5 that is really, really cool that I'll
Oh,
talk
okay.
about in a bit.
Okay. Yeah, Bitter says analysis paralysis. Yeah. Yeah, that happens to me on the regular. Weeks that I don't play a game, it's exactly that. I look at all of my choices and it's like, well, do I want to play? Do I want to play Bannerlord? Do I want to play like something on the PlayStation? I should look to see what's on Game Pass. I should look to see what's on PlayStation Plus games for the month. What do I want to play? It's like, what do I have? Okay, I'm just gonna watch some YouTube videos until I figure this out, and then next thing you know, it's like 10:30, and I gotta go to bed. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, Chaos says the immersion is hard to describe to someone else. It's true. Like you're trying to describe a very intangible feeling, like a very
Mhm.
personal sense of being surrounded. Like even Song in the Smoke, which I didn't like. There was a moment as I was walking around and I kind of stopped and looked up and I looked left and I looked behind me and I realized like the game is kind of all around me. And I was like, oh shit, this is like the ultimate big screen TV.
Yeah. Can you imagine making a movie? I absolutely think that is where this is eventually going to go, and I'm surprised more people haven't done it yet. Is make a VR movie where you are in it, like you're not controlling anything. It's just VR. It's like they adopted IMAX. They even do have, as I recall, there was it the Grand? I think it's a Grand Canyon where they actually have a surround movie, and this was 25 years ago, but it's like one big room with its big screen all the way around you, and it's like a peak experience at the Grand Canyon Visitor Center.
Yeah, there's like a bunch of 360 videos on YouTube.
Right. There's videos on YouTube, but why hasn't somebody like James Cameron made a Avatar movie in VR?
See, that's tough because like one of the whole points of film is that you're aiming the camera at something, and the act of putting that thing on screen imbues it with importance, right? Like the camera is looking, a character's talking over here, but the camera's going to look over there. And that says something. That's making a statement about theme and story and stuff. And like if you allow the audience to look around, you're
Mhm.
kind of taking away directorial control.
Yeah. Yeah. Puts it all in the story.
I think Creation Chaos has a good point. He's like, playing VR is more like doing an activity. It's not gaming, it's doing something. It's a much more physical activity.
Mhm.
He also says Beat Saber's fantastic. Beat Saber's not
Beat
yet
Saber.
out for PSVR 2,
Oh,
but
it isn't?
I think it's coming.
Mhm.
Um,
Yeah, Beat Saber is like the classic one that everybody
yeah.
wants to play.
Beat
That
Saber,
and Fruit Ninja.
yeah. I've heard Gorn is coming too. I'm looking forward to getting that. If there's ever a super hot, I will definitely get that. But I did play one more game,
Mhm.
and this is the thing that eventually made me decide I want to get a PSVR. Is I played Res Infinite. And again, this is a game I had that I bought on sale some time ago, and it's like a $10 upgrade to the PSVR 2 version.
Mhm.
But one of the things the PSVR 2 allows you to do, one of the features it has, is eye tracking. And one of the modes in Res Infinite is it allows you to play the whole game with your eyes. Res Infinite is one of those on-rail shooters where you're a character floating through space and enemies kind of appear around you, and you use the controller to move a cursor around to highlight the enemies. And then you hit X and you kind of shoot little homing bullets at them. Res is like this. Panzer Dragoon is like that. And it's a lot of, paint your targets, then shoot them. Paint the targets and shoot them. Well, normally you're using a control stick to move a cursor around the screen to paint all the targets. But with the eye tracking, you just look at a target and you paint it, and then you hit X to shoot. And so that idea, the idea that, I could do this with my eyes, is what eventually convinced me to try this out, because I thought it was too cool not to. And it works. It works really, really well. Just like, if anything, it might break the game and make it a little too easy.
Mhm.
But from what I know, Res was never really about the challenge. Res was more of just like a sensory experience. And so
Right.
it fits with that theme of, I'm just kind of looking around and I'm just looking at things and then hitting X to shoot. Or I'm just mashing the X button to shoot at everything and then highlighting it. And yeah, it's just a completely different way of playing a game, right? It's a whole new control input, your eyes.
Mhm.
And the fact that it works as well as it does is really, really mind-blowing.
Yeah. There's got to be somebody that's thinking about using that for, movies, for entertainment, not games.
Sure.
So,
Chaos also asked if we would like for him to hop on and talk about his experience with VR.
oh yeah. Are you home and around? You know where to find us? Or should I send you an invite? Let me send you an invite.
AC Wraith also mentioned something called Punch Drunk, where it's a large interactive theater you can explore.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting.
But
yeah, so the things I would plan to play this week are Horizon Call of the Mountain, which was it's not a pack-in for the VR headset. You have to buy the bundle, and I bought the bundle.
Mm-hmm.
And that's kind of the Astro's Playroom for PSVR 2, the game that Sony makes to kind of show off all the different features. So I'm going to play that. And there's a free update to No Man's Sky. So I re-downloaded No Man's Sky to play that. And there's a game called Pistol Whip that I've heard is really, really cool. It's almost like a rhythm shooting game where you are running. Imagine Res, but where you have the pistols and you're shooting at all the enemies. And so I thought,
fun.
okay, that seems pretty cool.
That sounds fun.
So those are the 3 things I want to try out in the coming week.
Good. All right. So I'll try that again in English. Invite has been sent to Chaos. It's to your personal, not your GameHounds email, because that's the first thing that came up. Chenderbach says the limit is pretty good considering it came out 4 years ago. Stars Norman Reedus. How much did it cost you?
With tax, with the bundle, it's like $660.
Oh, what was the bundle?
It came with Horizon Call of the Mountain.
Oh, okay.
It was like $660. Because
that's chunk of change.
The bundle, the headset itself is $550. The game itself is $60. So if you get the bundle, it's $600. So technically, you save $10 on the game, and then with tax and everything, comes out to pretty much $660.
Got it. Yeah, it's a big chunk of change considering I just bought a new scooter, and that's about the same time, same cost. Incidentally, my scooter broke in a week.
Well, I'm going to take way better care of this. I don't want this to break.
mean, it's under warranty. It was something went wrong. And by the way, if you can, I recommend something. If you ever think you are going to buy an electric scooter, the one I this is my second one from this company called Glion. It's Glion. It is the best company. They make their scooters that they fold. A lot of them do, but they also have one of those retracting handles that like your suitcase might have. So it folds, and then you can extend that handle and then drag it behind you like a suitcase. And they are hella fun, but what's crazy about them is that they have the one I got. Like the old one was pretty good, but that was 4 years ago. Like I got one of the first ones. I now got the bigger version of that one called the Dolly XL, and it goes 20 miles an hour, and it has a range on a single charge of 28 miles. So it's freaking awesome. And I use it to commute, and it's just a fantastic commute. It just is a life changer. As far as, you just fold it open, you pull up the handles, and then you're off. And it's in San Francisco. It's very, very friendly out there because you're not supposed to ride anywhere but you can't ride on the sidewalks, or at least you're not supposed to. People do anyway. But it is, especially in downtown urban environments, it goes as fast as the cars do on the side streets. Like I can keep up with cars. And when you can see on this video that I'm seeing is, you can see where he's holding has the throttle and the little like thing on the right hand side of the handlebars. That's a speedometer and an odometer, and it also controls how, like, 3 different modes: small, medium, fast. And that stopped working. It actually pegged itself open and left itself open, which was really scary. And so literally the engineer that designed this thing called me back and said, "We're sending you a new one. We'll show you how to take it off and put it back on. It's kind of plug and play. Please send me back that controller, because I need to look at it to figure out what went wrong." And it's like, whoa, like and I sent that warranty information. 30 seconds later, I had a phone call. Like literally 30 seconds after I hit send, I got a phone call, and it was the engineer going, "Please send it back to me. I need to figure out what went wrong there." And this is a company that's been around for a lot of years. So it's highly recommend Glion. If you've never used one before, this, if you want to buy a really good electric scooter that has excellent customer service, this is the one you want. So that's my plug for them. Andrew
Okay.
is in stream now. So
Yeah.
let's get Andrew in.
I will say AC Wraith had mentioned a VR film called The Limit with Norman Reedus and Michelle Rodriguez that was directed by Robert Rodriguez.
Really?
I might have to look at that.
That sounds interesting. Hey, guess what? We have to actually go to side by sides now, like we did in the old days. All right. So, Chaos, are you there? You are muted, I think, at the moment.
I am. Can you hear me?
No, I
Yeah,
can hear you. Yeah,
we can
you're
hear you.
good.
Okay. So,
Chunderbox mentioned the film.
I don't have like my camera going right now.
That's fine.
So that's fine. No, I just want to talk about VR a bit because, like I've mentioned before, I got the Valve Index, and that's been interesting for sure. As I was saying,
did you
go ahead.
need like a room scale setup for that?
No. So you get these 2 sensors that you can place in like various parts of your room, and you can get up to 4. But
Okay.
they're just trackers, and I usually just sit and play. For instance, it has 2 modes when you're setting it up. You can do like wide room tracking, and I'm not sure how that would change, but I play in my bedroom. So like,
What's the name of the system again?
The Valve Index.
Okay.
And I play in my bedroom, which has limited space. But so far, most games, they know that. They know that not everyone has an entire living room to play in.
Mm-hmm.
So they plan around that. I've played a handful of games, and I don't go back to it as much as I would like, because it really is that, like, it's an experience. Like, it's you doing something. You actually have to, like, all right, this is what I want to go do today.
Mm-hmm.
It's not just, all right, I'm going to boot up a game and play and, like, relax. So
yeah, it's not necessarily a chill experience. It's more like, okay, I wanna wear myself out.
Yeah, no, that's pretty close. I've played multiple games at this point. I mentioned Walking Dead, right? I had 2 things happen that kind of ruined that for me. Like, I haven't gone back to it.
Oh no!
Did you get eaten?
No, actually, I did, but that was my fault. It gives me a little nausea, and that's because I could probably fix that if I changed certain settings and all of that. But the first time I played it, I had to hop off because I got that ill feeling. When I left the game and I came back, it had restarted the level and had like wiped the progress that I had made so far.
Oh.
And I was like, ugh, that sucks.
Yeah,
So
that's one of the things that I wanted to. I've only played, I guess, Song of the South or Song of the Smoke, whatever that game I mentioned.
Song in the Smoke.
That was one where I was actually moving around, and I had to change the setting because it would defaulted to a snap turn, which is when you turn the control stick, you like snap to look, I don't know, 15 degrees to the side, or you snap to look 15 degrees. And that I know from listening to podcasts and stuff that some people experience motion sickness when you move too smoothly. And the snap turning is meant to alleviate that. But I found it really, really awkward. So I had to turn that off. And it was definitely a weird experience using the control sticks, the dual control stick setup to move while I'm physically standing in place. And there were a couple times where I was like, okay, I'm going to like kneel. I'm not going to kneel, but I'm going to like bend my knees a little bit and like lock myself in place has to kind of tell myself, yo, I'm not moving. I need to like get used to this sense of moving but not moving.
Mm-hmm.
Some things that I've read that help with that is turning on a fan helps.
Interesting.
Having that sense of air movement around you can go a long way.
Yeah.
Chewing gum helps because it helps distract your brain while you're chewing, like so that you're not constantly focused on that movement.
Mm-hmm.
And those together, they actually do end up helping me quite a bit when I'm playing.
That's interesting.
It's little things. It's meant to. The problem is because VR can be so immersive that you disconnect with your actual body a bit. And by having that constant stimulation of like chewing or air like going against your body helps you keep you grounded.
Yeah, it's so funny to think that VR is actually working against millennia of human development.
It is, and it's like when I mentioned that it's the immersion is hard to describe because like on the screen now you're watching someone play this game called Gorilla Tag, right? And it has not great graphics, and most VR games don't have like super next gen graphics. And there's a point to that. It's to keep performance steady because you cannot have frame dips while you're playing a VR game.
Mhm.
That will be bad. That'll ruin you if you're worrying about frame drops while you're immersed in this. But even this doesn't seem like, oh, I'd get too immersed in something like this. You do. The graphics stop mattering because the way you're interacting with the environment and moving through it.
Yeah, it just kind of becomes
The
how
world.
the world is.
Yeah. It's wild. It is very interesting. And when I was playing, I didn't make it very far in The Walking Dead, but the first thing you have to deal with is this this lady's like, hey, I need you to go find my husband, right? He was bit and I would like you to kill him because I can't do it. And having a person in front of you asking you to do this that has like a 3D shape has an interesting emotional like element to it that it does a lot of heavy lifting.
Interesting.
Yeah, Chunderbox had recommended walking on the spot when needing to walk in the game helped him.
Yes,
and plus helped him get some steps in.
When I play Beat Saber VR, I'm a big guy. I mean, that's known, but I tend to lock my legs because you're focusing on moving your arms. You remember to bend your knees. Don't stay locked for too long because that will actually just cause physical discomfort for the most part. And like, make sure you're moving. Move a bit with your legs too. It helps, not just with like the motion sickness, but just don't stand in one place for too long. That's all.
So I am a fan of a YouTube channel called Hummies VR Comedy, and they are three guys that are freaking hilarious that play VR together and usually role play, and they're really, really, really funny. Just improv comedy, essentially, role play. And one of my favorite ones of their series is playing The Forest in VR. It's absolutely hilarious. And the idea of playing with Nick in VR in The Forest is almost a reason for me to buy one. That would be so funny.
Interesting enough, this isn't necessarily related to VR, but did you know that the Sons of the Forest on PC dropped into early access?
I've been seeing videos about that.
Yeah, it doesn't have VR yet, but I imagine they'll add it then too.
Yeah.
This is something I do want to mention. All VR is not created equal. There's a lot of games that have VR like attachments or like
add-ons.
The Walking Dead is a great VR game. It was built from the ground up to be a VR game and one of really high quality. When you play a game like The Forest,
it's not very high quality, but it's still funny.
Yes, for sure. And
it was definitely something I would want to play with somebody because it's about survival game with somebody as opposed to, like actually playing a game.
It's more about managing expectation is why I'm bringing this up, because I was really looking forward to each game kind of having nice physics and interacting with objects and all of that stuff. There's not as much of that as you think, because that's a lot of work.
Yeah.
Like one of the games that I keep seeing people talk about is this shooter called Pavlov.
Yes.
That's like I guess it's a multiplayer with a bunch of mods, but it's supposed to have like really, really complex physics modeling for each gun and like reloading processes for each gun?
Yeah, I haven't played it myself, but I've seen it played. Yeah, I've seen how like you kind of have to like load the chamber and all that stuff. Like
Yeah.
it's pretty unique and interesting.
Yeah, one of those things that like, oh, this was designed to be VR from the beginning, and so they make a point to kind of have every weapon play into that.
And yeah, and I've mentioned this before when we've talked about VR in the podcast. In the current state, because it's so niche, and maybe with PlayStation really focusing on the experience, this will change as time goes on. VR is more of an experience than games most of the time with the stuff that's VR. Like you get stuff like Skyrim or The Forest where it was a game first and then they put VR into it. But a lot of the times games are, hey, we had this idea or this mechanic that we wanted to explore into VR, and so we built a game around it, but that is what you're doing in VR, if that makes sense.
It from what I've learned, and like I knew this going in, because I think it's important to know this going in, is a lot of the games look like very arcade style games. Like
Yes.
you're gonna go in, have some fun doing stuff, but I'm not gonna like have this God of War or Elden Ring style experience with it. I'm just gonna kind of go in, mess around with this thing, and have some fun doing it.
Yeah, and a lot of those games are that experience.
For the experience. So porn, according
Yes.
to Easy Ray.
That does exist, yes. The best examples that I've seen of really good VR games was, for instance, Saints and Sinners. I didn't even get very far, but there was a whole like crafting system. The voice acting and the environments were all fantastic, and all the mechanics were great. The first best experience that I've played, and I think most people agree with this, is Half-Life Alyx. If you get the Valve Index, it comes with it. I let a friend buy me my index so that they got all the Steam points. So I had to go out and like rebuy it myself. But I finally got to sit down and play that. And it's a game designed to sell to Valve Index. And I think it does it very well. It's been out for a long time. I don't know if they're going to ever do anything else with it. But in that game, they use 3D space really well. For instance, they have a lot of puzzles in that game, like to hack and stuff. And it's literally like, hey, move this ball so that it lines up with all of the points, right?
Chunderbox says you've never watched porn until you watched VR porn. Chunderbox, I have a question. Have you done that? By the way, we can't say that P word on YouTube.
We've already said it like 6 times, though.
I know, but
we've already said it. We've already sworn.
Yeah, let's not.
We're an hour and a half in. We're past the limit.
It's not just limit. It's total amount. So yeah, let's not use that.
But yeah, I've heard people
loving videos. Call them loving videos.
Oh yeah, self-loving videos.
Self-loving videos. Yeah, that's true.
I know there's a lot of speculation that, or a lot of hope that Half-Life Alyx will come to the PSVR 2, if only because like it's like the quintessential VR game.
Yeah, I mean it'd be cool. I think everyone should get the chance to experience that. And I mean they brought Half-Life to the consoles before, so I mean that very well might happen.
And look, it's not like Valve is working on anything else.
Right, at least that we know of. It is the first game to show me the sense of, I mean, taking that immersion into account that we've talked about.
Yeah, well,
scale and scope is so different. Like the first thing you see in Half-Life Alyx as you boot up the game and you start playing is this tower in the distance that goes up into the sky. and there's these giant robots walking around town and all sorts of things like this. And you realize that you are small, like in a way that you don't see when you're just looking at a screen. And that is amazing to me.
Yeah,
You can't do that anywhere else.
I'm looking forward to playing Horizon Call of the Mountain for a similar reason, because it feels like it's a big budget AAA VR game, which you don't see a lot of because, as you said, VR is a pretty niche thing within gaming. And so most companies won't invest $100 million into a VR game because it's honestly just not worth it.
Mm-hmm.
On the screen right now, that tower in front of you, like you can see it on this, right? Like as you're watching this, it looks impressive. It looks cool. You don't just see it when you're in VR. You feel it. You feel the depth. And that thing looks and feels gargantuan, inhuman. And that's amazing. I can't speak highly enough of it. And I hope like it comes to PlayStation. If more VR games were like this, I think it would become more mainstream. But it's a hard sell, like you were saying. It not only is it niche, but not everyone can stomach VR literally. So the number of people who get to play VR starts to go down quite a bit. As you can see, he's walking through and just like picking up everything, and there's.
Yeah, I remember reading a story about he just picked up a bottle, like a glass bottle with liquid inside, and I remember reading a story about someone going like, at first the game didn't have liquid that did that, but I made it my goal. I wanted the liquid to like realistically move when you move the bottle around, and
That's
like
awesome.
I dedicated months of work to doing this because I was like, this has to happen.
And like in this room that you're seeing right now, on the left, there are markers on the window. You can literally pick them up and then start drawing on the window, which serves no gameplay purpose. But being able to do that puts you in a mental space that nothing else can.
It reminds me of when the Wii came out, and everybody said, like it came out and Wii Sports was with it, and it was like, this is amazing. And then there were other Wii games, but no Wii games were ever quite as good as Wii Sports. And it's widely accepted that the best Wii game ever was the game that came with it for free.
Yeah, I mean, I could definitely see that.
I mean, yeah, in the same way that no game has really taken advantage of the PS5's DualSense controller in the same way that Astro's Playroom did.
Oh yeah, exactly. Astro's Playroom is amazing. Like you get the PS5 and you are like, this was $600 well spent. Absolutely, no question. And then of course, no other game has actually used those same haptics where you could feel like you were on ice or skating.
I mean, yeah, some games do a little bit. Returnal did a lot of work with that in a way that was really cool. I've played a bunch of games that use the adaptive pressure in the triggers. But yeah, for the most, nothing has done it to the same degree that Astro's did.
Right.
And that's kind of what Alex is too. Like, Valve really made kind of the best headset, and I think we're reaching a point from what I've seen in VR, like as far as PC VR goes, that there are things on the horizon that are probably going to be better than the Index at some point, right? Oh, I didn't even do that.
I mean, I think yes, in the future, but I think one of the reasons like I bought the PSVR 2 is because I think where the controversy over the price, I think, has to do with the fact that like we just have to realize that at the point we are now, a $550 headset for a $500 console is mass market affordable VR.
Right.
And I think it will be at least another console generation before you see anything like the PSVR 2 come down in price in any significant way.
And I do want to say that despite how much I hate Meta, their purchasing and use and they made the Quest very inexpensive, or maybe the Quest was inexpensive to begin with, but it proliferated VR in a way that made it much more popular and mainstream. Like, people who got the Quest are the people who are going to buy the PlayStation VR 2 because they had that experience and they want the next step up.
Yeah, because like the issue with the Quest that I had heard is that, you know, it was a like $200 headset. It was wireless, and that was really cool. But because it was wireless, it didn't really have a lot of power, and so you couldn't really play all the games we talked about. You can't play on the Quest because it's just too underpowered. And so it became a really neat gimmick present where you give it to someone, they play around with it, but then like engagement with it dropped like a rock off a cliff.
Oh, yeah.
And that's because there just wasn't really much to do with it other than play around with it at Christmas time for a couple of weeks and then
show
go,
it to
hey,
your
that's
cousins
neat.
and, you know, put it on your mom's face and have her go, wow. And that was it.
Yeah. And so it was good to get it out there, right? To have people experience something. But yeah, that kind of level of affordability doesn't allow you to do all the cool things that we've been talking about.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I mean, yeah, it's true. But I mean, overall, like I spent a lot on my VR system, and I don't regret it. Like, VR has always been one of those things since I started working that that's the thing I want to get. I'm making a computer so that eventually I can get a VR headset that can play it. And
AC Ray says Nick is so against setting up comfortable furniture for a computer that he chooses to stand with a console's VR.
Hell yeah.
Should we crowdfund you getting like a gaming chair?
No, because the thing is, a PC setup requires me to like stick this in a corner where this is the PC setup. I can stick the headset in a drawer and then just be like, hey, my TV is still my TV space. I don't need any extra space for it. I don't need a permanent setup for it.
It's true. Also, gaming chairs are mostly awful.
Yeah. But yeah, wait, to go back to what you were saying, I think what I realized getting this, I really like it. But I think if you're someone that asks, is it worth the price? Then the answer is no. Right? If you have to ask, the answer is no.
Right.
Because like if you want it, you know you want it. You'll pay the money for it and you'll enjoy it. But if you're like, oh, I'm kind of interested, is it worth it? Then like you're not a crazy weirdo enough of a gamer to
you're not
like
neat enough, okay?
Yeah, yeah, like you're not in that niche. Like you said, Edie, you have to change your habits. Like it's a whole new way of playing things, and you kind of have to change your habits to play it. If you don't want to do that, then it being $600 or it being $300 or it being $100 isn't going to change that.
It would for me. I'm curious enough that I would be interested. I am not $600 curious just yet.
I would try it with Nick. Like, I would go over there, play some of the good games that he has.
I know I'm going to enjoy it. I know I'm going to enjoy it. That's why I am curious. But I am not, no matter how much I enjoy it, it's not going to be $600 enjoyment.
And see, that's what I'm saying. It's not worth it to you. And I think even if it was half the price.
Oh, if it was half the price, I would absolutely get it.
No, but see, I think if it was half the price, you would get it and then regret it because you wouldn't play it enough to feel like it's worth it.
No.
It's not the same math of when you're like looking at two $60 games and wondering which one am I going to get the most hours out of. To wrap it back to the beginning.
The hour to dollar ratio is completely off.
Right. And I don't make that decision. I have a PlayStation 5 that I really, really, really haven't played much on by comparison. And I had it when I could have resold it for $1,200, $1,300 and considered it and didn't do it, even though it was like, I really should, and then buy it later. I didn't.
Nick's kind of right here when he says that if you're asking how much it is, it's not going to be worth it for you for the most part. You're paying for an experience that you can't get elsewhere, and that will appeal to some people and not appeal to others.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, that's really what it is.
VR loving videos makes it all worth it, he says, Chunderbox. I'm not that much into loving videos.
I mean, but have you seen them in VR?
True. But I mean, if they were romance, like for women, made for women, but loving videos are rarely made for women.
See, you want to choose your own romance. You want to choose your own loving video.
I would pay $600 for that.
See,
Instantly. Like, take my money.
Because here's the thing. Don't get VR.
You're asking this to a woman who bought freaking this?
You just need to find a mod for Dragon Age that lets you romance.
No,
Alistair.
I don't need that. I already had that. I had that. It was called
Edie,
Dragon Age Origins.
You need VR and PC. The
Probably.
VR loving games are there. They exist.
I know.
Mm-hmm.
I know, but but they're all made for men, and there's not really good loving games for women, and it's a very different thing for women. We're not going to get it. This is not the podcast for that. But I will say,
for GameHounds
loving
After Dark.
games.
Yes.
If they couldn't do loving videos for for women in the last 60 years that they've been 100 years that they've been making loving videos, do you think that they're going to be able to do that for VR?
What a stupid euphemism.
It's the best euphemism.
Anyways,
moving on.
Yeah,
My shepherd likes its own kind of loving video.
Anyways, I think it's really cool.
Yes.
I'm looking forward to playing more things on it. I'm looking forward to. I hope more things come out. Like I said, I hope there's a super hot
Super Hot's
expansion. Beat Saber, Alex. Those are the things I'm really looking forward to.
Have you played Super Hot VR?
I have not. I've watched videos of it, but I have not played it.
Well, okay, we're gonna make it that podcast for just a second longer. Really, they have cyber attachments
Edie,
for loving
you have no
videos?
idea what's out there.
Oh yeah, hey, teledildonics. Just Google teledildonics.
I am not going to do that. Thank you very much. I'm a prude. I am a prude. I really am. Down deep inside.
There's a $700 cybernetic attachment that you can buy that you can sync up with a video game and have fun with. It's wild.
Okay, that's just silly. That's just
it's
silly.
An experience.
See, here's the thing: is like I could see being interested in that. Like they talk about, oh, that would be interesting once. Yeah, I think that I would be interested once. The thing is that I would not want to put on the market a used one of those.
No,
Nobody would buy it.
I don't think there is a used market. You
No,
have to get it new.
Nobody wants a used real doll.
No, you only buy new.
You buy new and then you use it once. So I'm not that curious.
I'm moving on. I think it's best. AC, we were almost gone. We had moved past this.
Yeah, we had.
Sorry. Thanks, Chunderbox. Screw you.
So Chunderbox did also mention cable. Like the PSVR has a cable that attaches from the headset to the PlayStation.
Mm-hmm.
Like I haven't done too much walking around, but I also haven't found it to be like that much of an issue because it's a very long cable, and if I'm going to be standing in front of the TV anyways, like I'm standing like 5-6 feet, it's just not really that much of an issue. So having that cable doesn't seem to be a problem. And what is neat about the headset is it has a button on the bottom that when you press it, it automatically pauses and suspends the game and gives you like a visual pass through of what's around you. So you see like there's a camera on the outside. And when you push the button, you look through that camera and you see like a black and white kind of blurry vision of what's around you.
Mhm.
So there was a time when I was like playing Thumper or something, and I could hear the cats like, jumping, smashing
Getting into
around.
something.
And so it's like I hit that button, the game suspends, pauses, and I see through the front facing camera at the world, and I can look around to see, hey, what are you guys doing? And then I just shoo them away, and then I can hit the button and go back to the game. And it's just a really, really nice usability feature, right? We're like, hey, if you ever feel like you're getting too close to something, or if something happens, you don't have to go through the whole, take off the headset, then put it back on, make sure it's all comfortable and stuff. Just hit the button, look around, hit the button again. It's a really smart feature.
I know the Valve Index can do that too. I don't know how to do it.
That's
I
also a thing about drone headsets are the same way.
Mm,
Yeah, it's
The
just I
good
think
one.
it's just called pass through,
Pass through.
like being able to see.
yeah,
Mhm.
it's a good thing to have. It's helpful.
This segment's probably dragged on pretty long. I want to mention 2 more things, and then I'll probably head out for you guys.
Okay.
There are 2 games that I've really enjoyed, and they're both VR, and I don't know if they'll be on PlayStation. They're both roguelikes, so maybe Nick will play them, maybe he won't, because he has no taste.
There's a roguelike for PSVR 2 called The Light Brigade that I'm really, really tempted to get, but I'm also held off because I'm like, is it good? Is it not? The like YouTube video reviews are like, this is really good, but then I watched like the next lane of people play it and it seemed kind of bad, and so I'm very conflicted. But I'm open. I'm open.
The 2 I want to mention is Mother Gunship Forge.
You said Gunship Forge or Mother Gunship?
Mother Gunship Forge.
Is there a colon in there?
Yes. Actually.
That's such a
I
weird
think
name.
Mother Gunship, one word, colon,
And then
Forge VR.
That's not one word. That's not how English works.
That's how
Well, I think
German works.
Mother Gunship is a series, I think, and this is a game in that series. But it's not exactly a rail shooter but you kind of stand in a small circle and you can move around and you could dodge as like enemies shoot projectiles at you.
Oh, is it like that old like Police 911 arcade game?
I have never
Oh,
played
it really
that.
is. It is.
Yes. What's awesome about this game is you get to choose rooms and you get to kind of choose like, do you want money, upgrades, health, whatever. But when you get an upgrade, you can choose to either get like a weapon or a connector. So you can have a connector that's one that you plug into your side and then it's long and it has 3 outward facing connectors. So when you go through the levels and pick up weapons, you can put weapons on each one of those connectors. Or if you get a second connector, you can put that one on there and you can just make the craziest contraptions that you're firing from or using as melee weapons as you're playing this game. And it's a lot of fun.
That's cool. It looks like a bullet hell game where to dodge the
Yes.
bullets, you have to physically dodge left, right, up, down, which is I don't know if you can find a video of the like Police 911 arcade game, but it was like an arcade game that was similar where like you would have to move your body like Neo to dodge the bullets in the shooter game.
How did they use that? It wasn't a VR game, obviously.
No, there was like a rig that like you stepped into that would sense your movements, like a big like almost doorway that could sense how you bent forward and back.
So just like
there actually was a PS2 version of that as well.
That's crazy.
So yeah, what's the other game?
No, that's something else.
The other game is called Until You Fall, and it's another roguelike. And it is the complete opposite thematically from Mother Gunship Forge. And it's a like high fantasy melee combat game. And you get various weapons throughout it. And how it works is enemies have a guard meter that you have to like swing and break down. And then you get combos which will like actually do damage to their health. But if you don't kill them, they'll get their guard meter back. But while they're doing that, they're invincible. So you kind of have to, the best use of your time is to switch targets and like attack other people during this like downtime.
Weird.
Oh, okay. Do you see the video?
Oh, yeah. I was about to, okay, yeah.
Yeah. So see the red bars are like a motion sensing thing, and he's standing up and down, and the character's moving. Okay, there. Now it moved out. Yeah. See, you can see him dodging.
Yes, and Gunship Forge, like that is very much a bullet hell game, but thankfully you can actually like move around in the circle with the joysticks a bit. So if you're good enough, you can just dodge, but you can also like actually move, which is useful. That being said, this looks like the most basic version that the Kinect became.
It really
Yeah.
is, but like playing in the arcade was really cool because you had to duck to reload. So you're constantly squatting, then popping up, then squatting and popping up.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed the hell of it. Which,
Yeah,
which
there
is
was
probably
a
why.
shooter game. I can't remember what the shooter game was that it was just shooting, like very much like that, and it was shooting a gun that was attached to that actually you could figure out where it was pointing. And then in order to reload, you had to point off of the screen and pull the trigger. So it was like pow, 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 pow,
Oh,
pow,
that's just
pow,
like House
pow,
of
pow,
the
pow, pow,
Dead.
pow. Huh?
Yeah.
It's just like House of the Dead
Was it House?
or Time Crisis.
Yeah, Time Crisis,
Yeah.
House of the Dead, like any of those rail shooters.
Yeah.
Uh,
So that's how I knew I was a weirdo that would like VR, because Police 911 was like, oh shit, if this is in the arcade, I gotta play this.
what's cool about Until You Fall is on the screen you see like they're shooting projectiles at you, and you have to match up like you're guarding in that direction. And then when you get attacked in the game, there'll be a block meter that fills up, and you actually have to like lift your hand up with the weapon and actually block that angle, and then like follow through with it.
Huh.
Oh wow, that looks cool.
So it's like the VR
That
version
looks
of
really good.
The Wii Zelda game.
Kind of, yeah. As you can see on screen, like, yeah, depending on how many combo meters you can get, you can sit there and just whack away at them and actually do health damage. But once you're done with your combo, which ranges from you don't have a combo, literally it's just one hit, to a 6, apparently, according to this video, they have a invulnerability period. You can't really attack or do anything, and it's better to kind of reset. And then after each small segment, you go up to this crystal, and you get the choice of one of 3 upgrades. Typically, like health, healing, whatever, or like a mod to your weapon. And you have 2 of them. So you can kind of mix and match as you play and gain different abilities with your weapons. And I really enjoy it. It's a game where I sat down and played it, and I had to do laundry, and then I didn't do laundry for 2 hours because I kept going, just one more. Like, I want to try something new. Just one more.
That's usually how it works. Do you know if this is related to After the Fall, which is a game on PSVR I've seen?
No,
mentioned?
I don't think it is. I think that is a post-apocalyptic shooter.
Okay. Yeah, it was like a multiplayer thing that I wasn't interested in, but it's very similar naming.
This game will get you sweaty, though, because you do extra damage if you do wide swings. So if you're really putting your back into it, you're rewarded for that.
Oh wow.
And yeah, as you can see on screen, it's just fun. You whack away. Each weapon that you use has a particular ability that builds up, and you can kind of like build into that so the charge comes back quicker. You can build up into raw damage.
God, I would love to see this game, but it's Chivalry.
Oh yes.
God, would that not be fun? Like, just instead of it being skinned in this sci-fi skin, is make it like, knights, like For Honor.
Oh man, Chivalry in VR.
The game that I think would bring out your supervillain is called Blade and Sorcery.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of a sandbox game, and there's a ton of mods for it.
Mm-hmm.
But it's a VR game where like NPCs run at you, and you have medieval weapons, and there's a whole bunch of stuff with it. If you read the Steam comments, you kind of get the idea, and it's like you grab somebody's head and you bash into the wall, and while you're doing that, you're just smiling, and then you question whether or not you're a good person afterwards.
Really? Oh,
Yeah.
this that might actually be something that I would be interested in.
It's currently in early access, but and it's on PC only right now. But I hope that when it comes out, people like it'll go to PlayStation. As you
Yeah.
can see on screen, it's just
Jesus Christ. Just kick him and grab and run and then yeah, I'm in love with this idea. Now all of a sudden $600 starts to make sense to me.
that's kind of what this is.
Just picking up bodies after you're done and throwing them out of the way because they're in the way for the next guy to come in. Oh, yeah. Okay. So this is called Sword and let's see, Blade and Sorcery.
Blade and Sorcery.
It's sorry, I'm getting lost and just
I'm totally getting lost in this. I want to.
There's full Jedi reskins of this game, so like it's all just Jedi with lightsabers and the Force powers and stuff like that. Decapitation, and then there's so much to this game, and it's mostly just a sandbox. There's no I don't know if there's really any story to this game. It's just about murdering people, and like I said, at the end of the day, you're just kind of questioning yourself, like, what's wrong with me? If you ever get the chance, go read the Steam reviews for this game.
Okay.
It is a fun time.
I wonder, does it have multiplayer?
I don't think this one does. Mother Gunship Forge does, which I know you weren't as interested in that one.
But this still, it's the same concept.
This one might have a mod for multiplayer.
Crap. Mother Gunship, is that on PlayStation?
I don't
not PSVR 2. No.
Okay.
Well, PSVR 2 just came out, so give it a little time. I'm sure they'll try to pick up a lot of those better VR games. Yeah, it's a lot of fun. This is a game I have yet to buy, but it is on my list.
And I love the fact that it's just a sandbox where it's just an arena where you
just grab their head and you can drag them over,
kick everybody's ass. That's the point, is just to fight people and bash their heads in.
Yeah. Anyways, that is
getting silly. All right, I could watch
experience.
this all day. All right, so we are going to take this off of the screen right now because I would watch this all day.
But yeah, that's all I got to really say about VR.
Well,
I enjoy it.
Thank you for coming on and providing some insight. Not only advice for Nick for games, but yeah.
Keep an eye out for some stuff. I hope PSVR 2 really gets going. It does well, because I would like to see VR more mainstream, but it's always had that problem of not being just niche. Like, I think the Valve Index has only sold like 150,000 units.
Really?
Yeah, it is not terribly popular.
Yeah, I don't think I have a beastie enough computer to be able to use it well, though.
Yeah, most people don't.
Like I said, VR games are not particularly intensive in a lot of cases.
Mm-hmm.
The reason being for that is you need to run it smoothly, and at least at 60 FPS. So most systems, like a 3060 Ti, which is a kind of mid-range card, runs it.
Yeah, because Nick and I have the same laptop that I bought for gaming, and yeah, I don't know. I forget what I forget what card it has in it, but a 3060 will do it.
I think you can get a lot of VR games with 3060, especially if you turn down some of like the graphics or anything like that. You could run VR pretty well. I
think I have a 3080 in that laptop.
Oh, if you have a 3080, God, yeah, that'll run it easy.
Really? Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. VR's fun, guys.
Maybe you picked the wrong headset, Nick. Just saying. Because you have the same thing I have. And I think you have a 3080 in that.
I don't think so. But then I didn't.
I wouldn't have bought it if it didn't have a 3080 in it, or like at least a 3070. I can't remember what the specs were.
Sadly, Chunderbox is right in the chat. The Valve Index ends up just being too expensive for a lot of people. At $1,000.
How much is the Valve Index compared to the PSVR?
Valve Index is $1,000 for the controllers, the base stations, and the headset for everything.
And that does not include the computer to run it.
Correct.
Right. Well, I mean, I already own the computer. In theory, the computer to run it.
It is expensive, but again, like Nick said, if you're asking if it's too much money, like outside of it's actually like a bill or anything, it's best not to get it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like look, that's too much for me. The 600 for the PSVR is more my crazy alley.
Yeah,
I could see that.
So it's all levels of crazy. How crazy are you?
correct.
I'm looking to see if I can find what the specs on my computer were. Anyway, so thank you, Chaos, for being here.
Yeah,
thank you for going deep into VR, because we've really not done that before, and it's certainly not in a way that was like, okay, this is something that, now I'm the last one. I'm the last GameHound without VR. So this is bothering me, and peer pressure might actually just make me buy it.
All right. I have to head out though, guys. Thank you for having me. I appreciated being on. Have a
Chaos, thank you. Creation Chaos, former
absolutely.
GameHounds. Where do you have anything to plug, like a Twitch stream or anything?
No, not currently.
Okay.
Just that work life.
Whenever you have something to plug, you know where to find us.
All right, sounds good.
All right.
See you guys later.
Take care.
Bye.
All right. So, well, that is 2 hours into the show. We're not going to have much time for news, Nick. So whatever you have for your news, pick your 2 favorites, and that's it. The 2 favorites.
Sorry, Ezio Helsing. He put so much news in the Discord.
Yeah, he's not in here. Blood Reaper, are you in here today?
Yeah, he's in here.
Okay, good. I didn't see him. It was nice to see Cass, or at least hear him.
Okay, well, see, I can churn through a bunch of news stories really quickly.
No. You say that and you never do. Pick 2.
I can.
Pick your favorite 2, and then if it's not a half an hour in between your 2 and my 2, then we can add more.
Well,
So
see,
pick
if that's the
2.
choice, then you're purposely going to take a long time with each of them.
No, I'm not. I want to get through as much news as possible. I've got like 6 or 7 news stories myself. That's what I'm saying. You pick 2, I'll pick 2, and then depending on where the conversation goes, we'll look. If we're 45 minutes in after 4 stories,
okay,
then no. If we're 20 minutes in after 4 stories, then yes. So before we move that on, though, we need to hit the sounder. So let's hit
Your
the news.
homework.
This is the is Nick.
Sony had a State of Play event.
Okay.
Where they showed off a lot of things, most of which we already knew. Nothing like hugely big. They announced a couple new PSVR 2 games coming. The Foglands, which is like a sci-fi western roguelike. Green Hell, which is just a VR version of an existing survival game.
Whoops.
Synapse, which looks like a kind of neat take on Super Hot, and some other ones. They had a trailer for...
Sorry, it's looping.
They had a trailer for the new Destiny expansion, Lightfall, which we knew was coming out.
Mm-hmm.
They announced the PS Plus games for March, which includes, of all things, Battlefield 2042.
Yeah, I know. So PlayStation, and there is crossplay. I don't know if there's crossplay in let's see.
Game Pass?
I don't know if there's crossplay between
Consoles?
console between Xbox and PC, which there is crossplay, but I don't know if there's crossplay with Sony and PlayStation to those two. So I'm assuming there is, but it would be really, really great if there was.
Yeah.
Because that means everybody who has a PlayStation, friends, you could play with me that single player co-op and enjoy it with me.
Maybe we'll
I'm
try it. We'll
happy.
boot it up and see how it works.
Yeah.
But then the other game is Minecraft Dungeons, and the other is
Mhm.
Code Vein.
Right. I'm very interested in Code Vein.
They showed off a trailer for Humanity, which is a new puzzle game from the creator, not the creators, but from the developers of Res Infinite and Tetris Effect Connected.
Mm-hmm.
Probably the bigger news is that they had a trailer for Baldur's Gate 3, which is kind of one of the biggest RPGs coming out this year. They had a release date for it. It will be coming on PS5 on August 31st. More importantly, there was no Xbox release date. That got a lot of people questioning, like, what is going on.
Yeah, but that was a state of play. Why? Well, okay, yes. Anyway,
But there was also no Xbox release date on Larian, the developer's website. They have since clarified that they, quote, "We have an Xbox version of Baldur's Gate 3 in development for some time now. We've run into technical issues developing the Xbox port that have stopped us feeling 100% confident in announcing it until we found the right solution. Specifically, we've been unable to get split-screen co-op to work to the same standard on both Xbox Series X and S, which is a requirement for us to ship."
Oh, okay. Interesting. Okay.
So what I think is interesting is that I think Baldur's Gate is only coming to PS5. I don't think it's coming to PS4.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that might be holding back the Xbox version, because I think Xbox wants the games to be compatible with Series S, which is the lower tier version of their Series consoles. And I think that might be where the issue is.
Right. That with the PlayStation 5, you're only dealing with one spec.
Yes, and it's the
Whereas
higher spec.
Xbox, right? And it's premium, but it's only one spec.
Yeah.
Whereas there is a lower spec for Xbox that makes things a little more challenging. Interesting. I never
they
really
also-
considered that might be an issue for it, but that makes absolute sense.
They also showed off a video for Resident Evil 4 and said there was a demo coming for PS5 in the weeks ahead, which is really cool. And the other big news is that they had a 15-minute gameplay showing of Suicide Squad Kills the Justice League, which really showed off how much of a live service game that game is.
Yeah. Well, actually, you just took out most of my stories. Yeah, that gameplay video is getting nothing but hate. And yeah, for the gameplay, because apparently, I mean, I saw some of the video, is a lot of the characters are using guns, and it's essentially a looter shooter, which is
Yeah.
totally out of the character. And Rocksteady, is known for the Arkham games, where when you play Batman, you felt like Batman.
Yeah, and it was really good.
That's not what you
hand-to-hand
feel like in
combat.
this game. It's a looter shooter playing with Harley Quinn or whatever.
Yeah, and from what I saw, all four of the characters kind of looked like they played very, very similar. Like, one of the cool
Right.
things about the Arkham games is that it really captured Batman, the sense of being Batman. Though the way that it mixed stealth and combat made you feel like that character. And to see, like, oh, here are all four kind of not necessarily iconic, but like four well-known DC characters that all play the same,
Mhm.
kind of is disappointing.
Right. And the other thing that caught a lot of heat was actually the thing that caught the most heat was interspersed in that video was the comments from developers, and they used every word to describe a live service game without actually saying live service. It was just it's going to have a battle pass. It's got an in-game store. It's got cosmetics. It's got what else? Gear sets and a gear score that dictates your overall power. It's a co-op shooter. It just all the things that make a live service, but they wouldn't say the L word because, of course, everybody's against live service now, especially after the last Marvel game, Marvel Avengers. And that
Yes.
fell so flat. But make no mistake, friends. At least, actually, I would say don't even look at the gameplay. Just listen to what the developers said. Developers say it's going to be a live service game. They might have not used the words, but it's going to be live service.
I mean, AC Wraith mentioned in the chat that they were talking about content to come for years.
Yeah, content
Which
to come for
is
you. Yeah, another like
not what
buzzword.
people want to hear.
They described perfectly a live service game in everything they did. It took them like a good 3 or 4 minutes in that discussion to describe a live action game. They were dancing around it so hard. Yeah, it's Gotham Knights all over again. Yeah. It's oh man, and it has put such a nail in that game that I don't know if Suicide Squad can recover at this point. Because not only was the gameplay disappointing, the description of the game is a live service, and nobody wants that.
Yeah.
It's not that it's like, oh, you could change our mind because it's an amazing live service game. Nobody wants it. It's essentially Fortnite with like, the Suicide Squad.
Creation Chaos makes a point. It's like Gotham Knights all over again.
Mm-hmm.
A game that doesn't seem like it was live service to begin with, but kind of had all that stuff added into it.
Mm-hmm.
But I do think it depends on the game. Like Rocksteady makes good games. We'll have to see what it's like when it comes out.
Yeah,
But it doesn't make a good first impression.
It's not that it doesn't make a good first impression. I don't know that Rocksteady can change it at this point. And they said in their own words, updates for years to come, battle pass, in-game loot boxes for each of the things that you kill, cosmetics, so you can customize your character and customize your gun.
Sure,
gear scores to decide how powerful you are. It's all, they can't walk that back. This is what they're making. This is what the game's
controversy in the
be.
gaming space doesn't always translate to the real world. It doesn't translate to mass market. Like, just because something is a controversy on Kotaku doesn't mean that people buying a games actually care about it.
Point, but it looks like a duck. It quacks like a duck. And people don't like ducks.
They say they don't like ducks, but what they buy might speak differently. So that's why I say we'll have to see how it turns out.
Yeah. Well, I predict. I predict it's not going to work out. And there you go. There, Chaos. You can write that down. I predict it's not going to work out. Chenderbox says he loved the trailer for it. You are very much in the minority. I was looking at some of the scores, the upvotes and downvotes on PlayStation. I'm sorry, on PlayStation, on YouTube for the release video, and it's not doing well.
But see, like I said,
way more by orders of magnitude. Thumbs down than there are thumbs up.
Internet controversy doesn't always translate to real world sales.
No, but
they can be very, very different.
It's not just people voting it down. It's also a lot of the tastemakers that are very upset and disappointed. We'll see. I mean, yes, we'll see if it's a good game. I predict that they've done so much. They've done the damage that would have made people curious to buy the game, and now it's kind of poisoned the water a bit. AC says the Arkham City games are pretty much Metroidvanias. AAA devs out of From Software don't seem to know how to focus on those.
Yeah, because this is definitely not a Metroidvania, unlike those other games.
Yeah,
that's true. It's a very different genre.
Yep. All right. So
Uh,
my first item
okay.
is now that you. Oh, do you have any more? I mean, let me hit it first item. So you took
Yeah.
a couple of things. You took my PS Plus games. You took my Rocksteady games. Took my Baldur's Gate things. Okay, here we go. Brace yourself, friends. Brace yourself. Valve has provided a schedule for all sales going on in 2023. So here's where your money's going to go. So there's going to be a Mystery Fest on February 20th through 27th. The spring sale is going to be March 16th to the 23rd. That's obviously their major spring sale. Puzzle Fest is April 24th through May 1st. Sports Fest, May 15th through 22nd. Next Fest is June 16th through 26th. Then we hit the summer sale. Summer sale is June 29th through July 13th. Then, after that, the Stealth Fest, July 24th through 31st. Visual Novel Fest, August 17th through 14th.
Fest?
I don't know.
Get what?
They like their fests. Shmup Fest is September 25th through October 2nd. Another Next Fest, October 9th through 16th. The Return of Steam Scream Fest, which is Halloween, is October 26th through November 2nd. This is there's going to be additional details on that to come. Autumn Sale.
Oh, it's not Fest.
No, the major sales are called sales. The minor sales are called fests. There's it. Where you go. So the autumn sale is November 21st through 28th, and then the winter sale is December 21st through January 4th.
I'm surprised they came out with like this whole schedule, because I'd always believed that, you don't want to say when a sale is happening, because then people will wait to buy it. Right. If I want to buy a stealth game, I'm not going to buy it now. I'm going to wait for the Stealth Fest.
I think that they've come to the conclusion that that's okay. They've come to the conclusion that that's okay.
Yeah. Well, I mean, clearly
probably because so many of the developers, they buy it and then a week later everything goes on sale, and developers have like complained and stuff.
Yeah, that could be.
Yeah,
I don't know behind
had
the
a refund.
scenes. Yeah, I'm sure the refund process probably has something to do with it.
Yeah, they did that with Crusader Kings. That they slashed the prices on everything, and then because they slashed the prices, anybody that bought it the month prior got a refund. So yeah, you're gonna have something pretty much every month: February, March, April, May, June, 2 in June, July, August, September, October, another major sale end of October, November major sale, December major sale.
Mm-hmm.
Every month there's going to be some kind of fest or sale. All right. So next item.
Well, you know how FIFA is no longer a video game because EA and FIFA broke up over licensing deals.
Mm-hmm.
It's now rumored that EA is going to create a new license for the Premier League for about $588 million, which is apparently more than double what their existing deal is. But if you remember,
with the Premier League or with FIFA?
With Premier League.
Okay.
No, they're not dealing with FIFA.
Right. But you're saying 500 million, but what were they paying FIFA, or what?
That's what I was going to say. FIFA wanted $1 billion.
Oh.
So it's about
half price.
It's about half the price that FIFA wanted, but still currently double what apparently the current contract with the Premier League is.
Yeah, it's probably, and you know who probably did that? It wasn't because EA wanted to. It's because Premier League was like, oh, yeah. So EA, what are you going to do? Oh, our price just doubled.
I'm sure
it's still half what the other one was to charge.
Exactly. And I'm sure EA was like, you know what? Sure.
Either that or we shut down our soccer.
But they're not going to do that because
they're not going to do that.
Because that game keeps EA afloat practically.
Exactly. Premier League had them by the short curlies and made them squeal.
Kudos to Premier League.
Yeah.
In other EA news, This is kind of a rumor thing, but apparently EA is polling fans on if they would like to see a Dead Space 2 and 3 remake,
Mhm.
which is very nice because everything I've heard about that first remake, it's fantastic.
That's what I've heard.
Nothing but high praise.
Yeah, exactly.
So the idea of them returning to 2 and 3, I think I hope they do. I'm very excited for that possibility. One thing that developers are not excited for, though, is E3. The past 2 weeks, there were 2 separate news stories. Ubisoft will attend E3 if it happens, and then Nintendo confirms it's not going to attend E3.
Yeah, that was one of my stories. Is that Ubisoft? It's kind of a comedy. I could hear what was it, Monty Python? I'm not dead yet. So yeah, Yves
There's only a
Guillemot.
flesh wound.
Well, that's merely a flesh. I'm talking about bring out your dead.
Oh,
But I'm not dead yet. Can you do something about that? All right.
Now see, E3 is the night. Oh, I've lost a leg. That's fine. I don't need that leg. I lost Microsoft. I don't need Microsoft.
Merely
I
a
lost
flesh-
Ubisoft. I don't need Ubisoft. I lost Nintendo. I don't need Nintendo either. I don't need any of you.
Yeah. So Yves Guillemot, during a earnings call, investor call, was asked about whether they were going to be attending E3, and he said, "If E3 happens, we will be there, and we will have a lot of things to show." But he said it also could be he's not. He wasn't exactly saying that we're not really sure that E3 is actually going to happen, prompting ReedPop president Lance Fensterman from E3 to have to make a statement that E3 is still happening. It really is, guys. Yes, Nintendo's not going to be there. Yes, Microsoft's not going to be there. PlayStation's not going to be there. But it's still happening. Yes. So as I said in the description, E3 is not dead. It just smells that way. Yeah, it was a kind of a comedy of errors. So yeah, Nintendo said that they aren't going to be there. Did they say that they're going to replace it with a Nintendo Direct or anything?
No, they didn't. They just said like we evaluate what we do on a case by case basis, and this year E3 did not fit into our plans.
Yeah, Nintendo
we
hasn't been
support
at E3 for a couple of years. They were the first one to pull the plug and just go straight to Nintendo Directs during E3.
Yeah, you're right. That's true.
So that comes as no surprise. PlayStation and Microsoft were never part of E3. They just did separate stuff the days before E3.
Yeah.
Ubisoft, in fact, didn't do things during E3. They did it before E3. But interestingly enough, kind of segueing into that, you know what is doing pretty well as far as conventions are concerned? PAX. Pokemon Company has said that they will absolutely be at PAX East this year in a month. And in addition, other publishers like Devolver, Yacht Club, THQ Nordic, Inti Creates will all have upcoming games and major updates at the show as well. In addition to the Expo Hall, which as usual has playable demos for unreleased games from Chucklefish, Isbird Games, Xseed Games, and Playon. But I'm sure that you're going to see lots of AAA as well at PAX East. They love to come to PAX East because it's kind of become the substitute for June. It's just, a little bit earlier, and they don't have to say as much because there's not a press. There's not a presser. There's not a big announcement.
They can just show up.
They can just show up and
announce anything.
Right. They don't have to announce anything. You just show up and have people play the games and go by word of mouth, which is very powerful. So yeah, PAX East. PAX is doing well. PAX is the Premier League of video game conventions. So, your next item. Actually, no. Let's see if I have another item. Oh, no, the big week this week in the Blizzard Activision Blizzard shit show. Kind of big news. It sort of isn't though, because I've said that this is going to happen.
Yeah. Well, I know Microsoft had a meeting with a bunch of EU regulators, and it was like behind closed door meetings. But then afterwards, they had announced that they signed some contracts, like with Nintendo and GeForce,
Right. So I'm trying to pull it up. Microsoft. Yeah. They signed a 10-year deal with Nintendo to bring Call of Duty games
Which
to
is
them.
such a weird contract because like Call of Duty doesn't usually appear on Nintendo, and when it does, like they were separate games.
Nobody wants to play Call of Duty on a
Like-
Nintendo system.
Yeah, and it feels like Microsoft offered this as like, hey, we'll give you 10 years of Call of Duty because we want to show that we're not going to hoard this franchise for ourselves. And Nintendo was like, okay,
Mhm.
sure, I guess if you want to give it to us, we won't say no, but we don't really care.
Right. Right.
What's more interesting is the GeForce deal,
Yeah.
which I think that brings.
What was the GeForce deal? I didn't see that one.
So GeForce Now is like GeForce's streaming service,
Right.
where if you own some games on PC, you can use GeForce to like stream versions of it to your computer
Mhm.
using GeForce's servers.
Mhm.
The deal they made is that you'll be able to do that with Xbox games, but it's not clear if that applies for like all Game Pass games or if it's just games you buy on the Xbox service.
Mhm. Did they
But-
specifically mention Call of Duty?
I don't know, but I mean the idea is if the deal goes through and Microsoft owns Call of Duty and you buy Call of Duty on the Xbox storefront, then yes, you would be able to stream it using GeForce Now.
Right.
It's
So
it,
that's
that deal is more about streaming competition, right?
Right.
Because Xbox has kind of positioned itself as kind of the forefront of video game streaming
Mhm.
by making it a perk of Game Pass.
Mhm.
It's expanded to more people than Amazon Luna, which I think is still in like a beta, and GeForce Now, which is from all accounts a really good service, but kind of a niche service.
Mhm.
And so, yeah,
Yeah. So yeah, all of this, of course, is being done because of the whole merger thing that they're proposing. All of this hinges on this 10-year deal and this GeForce thing. I don't know if the GeForce thing does, but the Microsoft deal hinges on the fact that the Microsoft purchase goes through. But yeah, you're right. It is under a lot of scrutiny, and no doubt that they made this decision. I mean, I said that this was the moment that they were waiting for. The Competitive Market Authority did say that the merger which is a whole other entity, that the merger would be harmful to gamers, and they also offered those ways for Microsoft to things that they could do to make it better, and they suggested the divestiture of Call of Duty, or the Activision Blizzard's segment of the Activision segment of Activision Blizzard, or the divestiture of the Activision and Blizzard segments of Activision Blizzard Incorporated. So there were a couple of different ways that they could describe it. And I said that this was what they were going to do, is they are going to give Call of Duty away to everybody. And they're warming up to the idea that they're going to sell Call of Duty to somebody. That they're going to sell Call of Duty to somebody so that they can make this merger go through.
What I find funny about all this is that this is all performative theatrics of Microsoft showing, look, like we won't be anti-competitive, right?
Mhm.
Look at us willing to share these franchises.
Yep.
And
exactly. This is
yet
definitely performative.
And yet, none of this would happen if it wasn't under threat of we won't let this go through.
Right.
If Microsoft had its way, they wouldn't be doing any of this.
Right.
So all of this, look at how kind and generous we are, is only you're being kind and generous when we're forcing you to.
Right. And it's very cynical for them to give a 10-year deal to Nintendo. Oh, you can have
Who
Call of
doesn't give
Duty.
a shit?
Nobody
doesn't give a
plays
shit.
Call of Duty on a Switch, on anything Nintendo. Nobody plays Call of Duty there, or will they? Because A, it doesn't have the graphics. B, it's Nintendo. They just won't do it. They're not going to do it. So it's very cynical. It's essentially it's assuming that these regulators are idiots.
Also, the idea of a 10-year plan, like, yo, 10 years goes fast. Like 10 years is like I think Activision had even said they're not going to put out a Call of Duty every year going forward.
That's only probably 5 games or less.
Yeah, 5 Call of Duties or less. That means like when PlayStation 6 comes out, no Call of Duty on PlayStation 6.
Yeah. So, yeah, it's just it's silly. They're going to have to sell it. And I guarantee you that there's discussion going on right now of the change of the price so that of who's going to sell it, whether it's going to be Activision that sells it to somebody else and then reduces the price to Microsoft, or whether Microsoft buys at that price and then creates a secondary deal where it Activision transfers to a third developer, third party, and then the third party pays Microsoft. A three-way trade, essentially. So it's going to be that's what's going to happen. That's what's going to happen because they're not going to not do it, but that's what they're warming themselves up to. They're trying to do everything not to do it, but they're going to have to do it. Anyway, so it's 4:40. How much farther you want to go?
I can go a little. I can go through some other interesting ones.
Let's go for 5 more minutes and then we're
done. There's a couple interesting studio shakeups. The director of Marvel's Midnight Suns is leaving Firaxis after being there for 2 decades. And in addition to that, the studio head Steve Martin is also leaving, which coming on the heels of the CEO of Take-Two saying that Marvel's Midnight Suns like flopped and really didn't meet sales expectations raises like some interesting questions of like what's going on there. Firaxis has like been pretty. They haven't had to like focus on market trends and stuff like that. They've been pretty insulated from all that stuff, and it kind of seems like, well, maybe Jake Solomon, who was the director of the game, said I was allowed to make the game I wanted. Like there was no outside pressure to conform to anything. I got to make the game I wanted. Since that game kind of flopped, I wonder if now Take-Two is like, well, okay, Firaxis, you have to make the stuff that we say now. And that increased pressure had kind of rubbed Jake Solomon and Steve Martin the wrong way, and those studio heads left. I feel like it won't be surprising in a month to hear that the two of them have started a new studio.
Another
somewhere.
studio.
Yeah.
Absolutely, they're going to do it. AC Wraith made a point. He's like, they could add Nintendo characters to Call of Duty to get more players. Then Nintendo could take that game away from esports too.
Sure. And then the other studio shakeup news is that Shinji Mikami is leaving Tango Gameworks. He was kind of the instrumental in getting that studio founded. And in a lot of ways, they used his name to sell their early games, The Evil Within. But from everything I've heard is that he hasn't worked on the recent output. He didn't work on, or he wasn't like the director of Evil Within 2 or Hi-Fi Rush.
Right.
Or Ghostwire Tokyo. And that they were very much using his name to sell these games. And the reason he's leaving now is because with the sale to Microsoft, he's no longer worried about like, oh, you need to use my name to sell games. Like you're now supported by this other publisher. And also with Hi-Fi Rush being the success that it was, he's like, okay, you have become your own thing. You no longer need to use my name to like support you. People, audiences trust you now. So he's taking this opportunity to step away. From all accounts, that's what it seems like. So whereas the Take-Two separation seems a bit antagonistic, this one is much more friendly of like, hey, I helped found the studio. It can go on without me, so I'm going to step back.
Right. I gave it its wings, and now it needs to leave the nest.
Yeah. And then just like some fun things, Valve apparently created a honeypot trap for Cheetos in Dota.
Really?
Basically,
tell me more.
Basically, there are certain codes, like certain things in the game code that should not be accessed during the course of normal play,
Right.
right? So they basically put some data in there and then tracked who accesses this data. They created a honeypot. And so then they just kind of spent a while recording who is accessing this data. And then eventually they banned 40,000 people for accessing it.
Whoa.
So yeah, I guess they had previously they patched a known issue used by third-party software to cheat, while at the same time kind of setting that up of, hey, you can't use this to cheat, but we're still going to give you access to it to see who is accessing it.
Interesting.
So yeah, that's a fun story.
I'm really surprised more games don't do that. More games that are known for the amount of cheats, like Rust. I know that Rust absolutely. I mean, some of the Rust videos of they actually have channels that are Rust moderators capturing cheaters and torturing them. And I mean, it's the game is nothing but full of cheats. Like what's it? It's the other one, the big cheat game, shooter game. Oh God.
Apex Legends?
No.
Call of Duty Warzone?
No, earlier PC
Fortnite.
game. No, PC. No, way earlier. It's been around forever.
DayZ?
No, God dang it! I'm having total brain cramp.
What type of game is it?
It's a shooter. It's a military shooter.
Oh, Counter-Strike Go?
Yes, Counter-Strike. Thank you. Counter-Strike Go.
Thank you, Helsing.
So yeah, they're just known for the amount of cheaters, and I'm really, really, really surprised that more of them don't do something like this, because they were able to wipe out 40,000 cheaters in the game, and for I'm sure a little while that game is much better now. Now it's gonna happen again, but that's the thing, is that now it's on the cheat makers' radar that be careful what you make, because everybody might. Well, actually, cheat makers don't really care if somebody gets caught or banned.
Yeah, but now the idea is like there's a fear of, oh, this cheat works, but
if you use it, you'll get banned.
Yeah, am I now being
am I on the list?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's like just because you can use a cheat and it works, now you might have fallen into that honeypot trap.
I think that is such a great idea, and I don't know why more games don't do it.
Yeah.
It's never the penalty for getting caught. I learned this in Criminal Justice 101. It is not the length of the penalty that makes someone think twice about committing a crime. It is the surety that you will get caught that stops people from committing crimes. That's why increasing prison sentences did not reduce crime. That's why the death penalty doesn't reduce crime. Now, if everybody who murdered someone or robbed someone got caught, nobody would commit a crime.
So you're saying the only way to reduce crime is with Minority Report precogs?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
And yeah, Ezra Helsing made a good point that Destiny developers, Bungie, recently won a huge lawsuit against the cheat maker.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah, CSGO. You know what I was talking. You knew what I was talking about. You know, the game with all the cheats. Been around for a long time. CSGO. All I could think of was Project Arkham for some reason. I don't know why that was popping into my head. I don't know. That's the thing. That's the thing that was coming in my head. So my head's a very strange and scary place. All right. So without further ado, we have hit that 545 marked. And has another one in their crosshairs. There we go. $4.3 million. It's a lot of money. All right.
That's all the big stuff I have.
Yep. Yeah. I have a bunch of little stuff that they can hold till next week.
Yeah. I have other games that I can talk about, but I'll hold off for next week.
Okay, good. Yeah, me too. And on top of that, I'm serious. If as soon as I'm done with this, I'm gonna go make myself some food, because I haven't eaten. I'm gonna go make myself some food, and then I am going to play Battlefield tonight. and I can stream it. I'm, better than AI, but I'm not very good. But if it's a free game on PlayStation right now. It's a PlayStation Plus game. It's also free on Game Pass. So there's no reason not to be joining me right now. So go find me. I am Gamer Edie, all one word. You know where to find me. It's my Edie is spelled, how it's spelled. So yeah, come find me and let's play. Because I'm all about this right now. I am fully on it. Anything else you want to add before we close out the show?
That's it.
All right.
I'm looking forward to delving into more VR stuff, delving into more 2D games.
Yeah, I'm not even going to bother to ask you to play some Battlefield 2042 because I know that you're going to be playing VR, and I don't blame you.
I mean, not like I said, I've played more PlayStation 5 than I have VR because there's like this 2D kind of Souls-like game with rats that I've been playing.
Yes,
so fucking good.
The which one? Plague Tale?
No, not Plague Tale. I finished Plague Tale. I don't think I mentioned that I finished Plague Tale.
No.
Plague Tale, I will say, the last time I mentioned Plague Tale,
we never got into your games that you played.
No,
only the
PSVR games. VR games.
Okay, we'll talk about them next week.
Okay, yeah. I'll just say about last time I mentioned Plague Tale, I was like, I'm almost near the end, and it feels like it's going on for too long.
Mm-hmm.
I was only halfway through. So that game goes on for way too long.
Wow. Okay.
But it does end strong.
Oh.
It ends strong, and it ends with a tease where I'm like, you assholes.
Cliffhanger.
What do you... Not a cliffhanger.
Okay.
Like, the story resolves.
Okay.
But then there's a tease for, like, a new story. And I'm like, oh, I got it. I want to see the rats. Give me more rats, you jerks.
All right. So on that note, let's close this out. You've been listening to GameHounds, episode 670. We did record this on Sunday, February 26, 2023. I've been Edie Sellers, and with me has been Nick DiNicola. Ways to get a hold of us, gamehounds.net is our website. Gamehounds@gmail.com is our email. We record this show live every Sunday at 2 p.m. Pacific, 5 p.m. Eastern, on YouTube and on Twitch. On YouTube, we are GameHounds Vids, VIDS, and Zin Videos. On Twitch, of course, we are the GameHounds. We'd love to have you join us. Thanks to everybody in the chat room, especially to, all of you are awesome. You know you are all awesome, but also Chandrabox, who's like, this is like the morning, like Monday morning. Thanks for listening to us on a Monday morning, dude. But everybody have a great weekend. Thank you to everyone in the chat room. Thank you to people on our Discord. By the way, if you want to join our Discord, we would love to have you join our Discord. That is where we make announcements. We talk about stuff. If there's ever going to be a show that cancels or has to be rescheduled, that's where we'll put it. Please join our Discord. There is on the screen. And if you are listening on audio, it is on our Facebook page. Facebook page is at The GameHounds. And we want to thank our patrons. We are 100% Patreon sponsored. So thank you to Tor the Weege, Peter Camo, Eric Baker, Anonymous, Pissed, Andy H. If it weren't for you, you pay for all of this, all of the video parts of it. So thank you so much. And big appreciation, huge love for you. If you would like to be a patron, patreon.com/GameHounds, and $1 a month is all we ask. That's a quarter a show. Thank you so much, everyone in the chat room. We'll talk to you next week. Have a great week, everyone. Bye-bye. And we're out of our show. So, yeah, everybody, I'm spent and I'm hungry, and I'm gonna eat because I'm hungry. I'm actually hangry at this point because I realized at 9:30 last night that I had not had any food, and I'd only had 2 glasses of water all day.
Your Battlefield is dangerous.
No. And then, of course,
have some food.
yeah. Today, I
Food is
did
good.
remember that I didn't have food, so I Hueled.
Okay.
Which, was
That's
better than
something.
nothing, but I'm still recovering from not eating anything and then last night it was like a bowl of ramen. Not top ramen, it's a frozen bowl but it's much smaller than a thing of top ramen. And then I just went right to sleep.
Breakfast is good.
Do I have How do you know that, AC Right? That's very concerning.
You had mentioned an Amazon package earlier in the show.
Oh, I did? Okay, good.
Yes.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I'm sure that's like...
right, exactly. Yes, I did. I do have Amazon packages waiting for me.
Yeah, you said Amazon came.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, Amazon packages. You said Amazon came. Okay, good.
No, AC Wraith is just hanging out outside your house.
Battlefield 2042 is not free. It's unless you have a PlayStation 5 because it's on the
if you have a
Plus.
PS Plus or you have Game Pass, then you
or
can
Game
get
Pass,
them as
then
part
it
of
is
the
free.
subscriptions.
Right. Then it is free. Anything my poor butt didn't buy. My poor butt didn't buy you anything. No, that's true. And well, you shouldn't. No need. You are fantastic at what you do. So you're deeply appreciated. All right, everyone. We'll talk to you later. If you're going to be on the show, and I might stream tonight, just, why not? What the hell? Simply because it's been a while since we've streamed a game. See you, everyone. Bye.